Time passed. Seconds passed. When Orochimaru landed again, it was already late at night. Looking at the familiar gate of Konoha in front of him, he raised the corners of his mouth, then covered himself with a black cloak and walked resolutely towards the gate of Konoha village. The 4 major ninja villages besieged Konoha. Although the main force of Kirigakure village has not arrived yet, the probing attack of the vanguard has already begun. Konoha is now in full force, and even Danzo, who guards the foundation of Konoha, has no choice but to come out to do some special tasks. In other words, in the current Konoha village, in addition to ordinary people and students from the ninja school, there are only 2 consultants, Koharu and Minato Inchin. Of course, there are also some genin who are really not very powerful, as well as some necessary teachers and ANBU. Orochimaru walked forward slowly, and the guard immediately noticed the abnormality. "Hey you!" Boom! They stood up and tried to stop him, but before they could finish their words, they fainted inexplicably and fell to the ground. With Orochimaru's current mental strength, he didn't even need to take action to deal with them. Walking leisurely into Konoha village, looking at the familiar streets and familiar buildings, Orochimaru couldn't help but lament the passage of time. But he didn't think much and walked directly towards Uzumaki Kushina's house. Because this is a war period, most of Konoha's defense forces are used outside the village. The internal defense of the village can be said to be weak. Therefore, when Orochimaru came to Kushina's residence, it could be said that he was familiar with the road and did not waste any effort at all. Click, the room door opens. "Damn you bastard!" A vigorous red figure suddenly descended from the sky. Orochimaru raised the corner of his mouth and took half a step back slightly. Whoa! The black kunai with a cold light flew towards the ground close to Orochimaru's face. "Damn it, it's not over yet." When the red figure saw that he had missed a hit, he quickly flipped his wrist and held the kunai back, then turned his body and stabbed out the kunai. Go straight to the heart of Orochimaru. The whole movement was smooth and fluid. Orochimaru did not dodge this time, and firmly grabbed the opponent's wrist before the kunai stabbed his heart. Under the powerful influence of Orochimaru, kunai could no longer move forward. Bang bang! Blocking the opponent's punches and kicks, Orochimaru easily subdued the opponent's hands behind his back. And his own hand gently touched the other person's white neck. "Ha ha ha! Asshole, let me go! Kushina, I haven't seen you for so long, are you still so grumpy? None of your business, hey?" Kushina was stunned for a moment. "You are, Lord Orochimaru." Orochimaru's voice was so distinctive that she couldn't forget it even if she wanted to. As Orochimaru let her go, she could clearly see Orochimaru's appearance below. "Lord Orochimaru, it's really you." It was obvious that Kushina was alone. The third Hokage also acquiesced in Orochimaru taking Kushina away. Because he couldn't afford to refuse this condition. In the empty and spacious house, the 2 of them were sitting upright. Kushina never dreamed that Orochimaru would appear in Konoha. Didn't you defect? Although Kushina also knew that there must be a reason for Orochimaru's defection, it was naturally impossible for her to know the reason. But looking at Kushina, who was wearing red short sleeves and green shorts with a shy face, Orochimaru had a weird look on his face. This girl was cute when she was little, and she looks pretty when she grows up, right? Do you think I am an enemy, so you attack me? I didn't expect that your alertness would become so high. Although Orochimaru did not deliberately sneak, it is enough to show that Kushina is no longer what she used to be. I just had one experience, so. Kushina scratched her head in embarrassment and quickly changed the subject. "By the way, why did you suddenly appear in the village? I remember that you were not." "It's a long story." Orochimaru didn't seem to be prepared to talk nonsense. "I'll explain to you slowly in the future. This time I'm going back to Konoha to take you with me." Take me away?" Kushina was surprised. Although she had always believed that Orochimaru was a good person, and was very grateful for Orochimaru's help in saving her life. At this moment she still wanted to ask the reason. She is the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, which is of great strategic significance, otherwise it was impossible for Konoha to leave her in the village while there was a world war outside. So, when Orochimaru suddenly said that he was coming to take her away, she immediately paid more attention to it. Kushina now is no longer the little girl she used to be. Orochimaru naturally noticed Kushina's emotions, and couldn't help but smile slightly. Yes, Konoha made a deal with me, and the condition is that you come with me. Well. Kushina was stunned again. The amount of information was too big for her to accept. Before she could react, Orochimaru continued. Otherwise, how would I know that you are the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, do you think so? Kushina. As soon as these words came out, Kushina was surprised again, and at the same time she also believed Orochimaru's words. Because in Konoha, there are very few people who know that she is the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. Even Tsunade doesn't know it now. But, I didn't receive any notification from Hokage-sama. Kushina said weakly. This kind of thing is of great importance. How could she leave with Orochimaru so easily? Announcement from Hokage. Hearing this, Orochimaru couldn't help but rub his temples, a little annoyed. It seems that you no longer trust me now. I. Kushina looked a little sad. Orochimaru saved her back then and always treated her well, so she was very grateful to Orochimaru. It's just that such things as rebellion and forbearance are really hard to convince people, right? Orochimaru sighed helplessly. Forget it, you don't trust me, and I can't do anything about it. Let me talk to the Kyuubi in your body first, and look into my eyes. Kushina was stunned, and subconsciously looked at Orochimaru's eyes. Before she could react, a pair of scarlet pupils came into his eyes. These pupils instantly invaded her with unparalleled spiritual power. Mind. Immediately afterwards, the sky and the earth spun, and the surrounding scenes changed instantly. In the dark space of consciousness, the water on the ground remained the same. The only difference was that there was a huge iron door with a seal in the darkness in front of it. Inside the iron door, there was a terrifying power, but the sleeping fox. The fox felt the arrival of Kushina and Orochimaru, and slowly opened his eyes. Orochimaru slowly moved forward. Kushina looked at Orochimaru strolling in her consciousness space, dumbfounded. It's obviously his own consciousness space, but why does it feel like it's Orochimaru's back garden? Lord Orochimaru, this is... These eyes, a boy from the Uchiha clan? If you walk in so arrogantly, I will kill you. Shua. Clang. The fox's claws passed through the iron door and stabbed directly into Orochimaru's heart. For a tailed beast, although the number of its own tails does not necessarily represent its strength, it is a fact that the nine-tailed beast has the strongest one-on-one ability among the nine-tailed beasts. And the nine tails is also the most violent. It hates humans and it hates ninjas. So when Orochimaru came in, it immediately expressed its disgust. And he just did it without any hesitation. But, who is Orochimaru? Today, his combat prowess has reached the top of the pyramid in the entire ninja world. I have become immune to this level of threats and provocations. Therefore, Kushina was surprised when she saw this scene, and even couldn't help but want to remind Orochimaru. But Orochimaru stood there with a calm expression, motionless. In the end, Kyuubi's claws got stuck in the gap of the iron door, and the tip stopped 1 centimeter in front of Orochimaru's heart. The tempers of the tailed beasts are really more irritable than the last. Can't you control it now? The latter sentence was said by Orochimaru to Kushina. At this time, Kushina was still immersed in Orochimaru's ability. After hearing this, she quickly came back to her senses. Control it. Are you kidding me? It's the Kyuubi. That's right, the power of the Uzumaki clan can only suppress it, but cannot purify Nine-Tails' negative emotions. Orochimaru looked at the ferocious Kyuubi in front of him and touched his chin. Kyuubi, can we talk? Ho ho! Kyuubi was grinning. After hearing Orochimaru's words, he slowly retracted his claws. It seemed to have calmed down a little after it was so violent before. You can actually see me in Kushina's body and suppress my power? What a terrifying Sharingan! Is this the power of the cursed clan? This is indeed the power of Uchiha, but I am not from the Uchiha clan. Orochimaru said calmly. When he saw the Sharingan, he thought of Uchiha. There is nothing wrong with this. Because only people of the Uchiha clan can use such powerful eye power. But who could have thought that there would be Orochimaru is such a weirdo? Not an Uchiha? How can it be? This eye power is stronger than anyone I have ever seen. Oh? Has he surpassed Uchiha Madara? Hearing this, Orochimaru couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. For the same Sharingan, there are differences in pupil power, which Orochimaru knows very well. Although Nine Tails was once Uchiha Madara's psychic beast, but Nine Tails Oya should have only seen Uchiha Madara's eternal kaleidoscope, there is no suspense about this. So, if it is the eternal kaleidoscope. When he practiced the immortal technique of Longdi Cave, he was just a hair away from reaching the level of the eternal kaleidoscope. So after practicing the immortal technique, the enhanced spiritual power has definitely surpassed the kaleidoscope by a lot. It has basically reached the ultimate peak state of Sharingan evolution. In other words, in terms of the eternal kaleidoscope, Kagome is indeed stronger than Madara, and there is nothing wrong with that. Uchiha Madara, boy, you know a lot. I do know a lot. Orochimaru raised his lips. So, can we talk? 5 minutes later, the scene changes. The two people's eyes return to Kushina's house. Orochimaru sat there with his head lowered in thought, but Kushina has not come back to her senses yet. She has always heard how powerful Orochimaru is, and how talented Tsunade-sama's husband is, but she has never seen Orochimaru for so long. Today, her eyes were really opened. Kyuubi, a monster that gave Konoha's top brass headaches and kept them awake all night, could actually chat with Orochimaru calmly? What is going on? Also, why does Orochimaru have the Sharingan? And can you switch between them at will? Kushina? Have you considered it? The sudden voice interrupted Kushina's thoughts. She came back to her senses and quickly replied, only by following the master. Will the master be willing to save Konoha? Certainly. Orochimaru said casually. From the day you became a Jinchuriki, you have had extremely important strategic significance. If it weren't for the good relationship we had before, I wouldn't be bothered to sit here and talk to you calmly. It's a pity, even you are already wary of me? Haha, that's really sad. That's not the case, sir. In fact, Okay, I don't care about this anymore. Orochimaru raised his hand to interrupt Kushina. Please clean up, we will leave here early tomorrow morning. Okay. Kushina had no choice but to nod. There is no doubt that she has believed Orochimaru's words. Because judging from the performance of Kyuubi just now, if Orochimaru really wants to catch herself, there is no need to go to such trouble. And now Mushi was also very clear about Yi's situation, and it was indeed a matter of life and death. Thinking of this, Kushina no longer hesitated and started packing her things, while Orochimaru sat on the sofa and lay down. The next morning, it was still dark. The ninjas staying in Konoha are already busy. Quick, look carefully. Damn it, how could you let someone sneak into the village at this time? Be careful, everyone, this person is very powerful. Dong dong dong. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. Orochimaru slowly opened his eyes, looked at the blanket on his body, and then looked at Kushina, who was looking nervous. Did you knock on the door just now? Sure enough, the village's defense is much weaker. Kushina, are you finished? At this time, Kushina had changed into a smart outfit, a tight top, fishnet shorts, and black stockings. She was hesitating whether to open the door, but after hearing Orochimaru's words, she quickly clicked. Then let's go. After that, Orochimaru pulled off the blanket, stood up and put his hand on Kushina's back. Put the things away. Yes, my lord. Bang! The door of the house was kicked open with great force, but the people inside had disappeared. A Konoha Anbu wearing an animal mask quickly walked in. He frowned and looked at everything in the room. There were 2 cups of tea on the table. It's already cold, the blanket on the sofa is a little messy, but there is still residual warmth. That is to say, just left? Living here is. The Anbu was very thoughtful, so 10 minutes later, Konoha's top brass received the news that Kushina had been kidnapped. So, Koharu and Mito Kato were confused when they went to bed. Not everyone in the Anbu of Konoha knows that Kushina is the 9-tailed Jinhyuriki. So they didn't know what it meant for Kushina to be captured and kidnapped, but Koharu and Mito Kato were very clear about it. Therefore, after getting the news, while investigating, they couldn't wait to send this information to the 3rd Hokage on the front line. But before their information was sent out, they received information from the 3rd Hokage. After seeing this information, the two looked at each other subconsciously, and both saw surprise in each other's eyes. Orochimaru. The 3rd Ninja War was more brutal than remembered. Even if the 3rd Hokage went to the battlefield in person, he could not change the current situation. Because the 4 major ninja villages attacked Konoha village at the same time, this was far beyond what Konoha could bear. The 3rd Hokage had no choice but to seek help from Orochimaru, but after the two met, they did not discuss specific cooperation matters. The 3rd Hokage knew that Orochimaru didn't want to talk to him. Therefore, the specific cooperation situation can only be negotiated by Tsunade, the middleman. Cloud Ninja Defense Line, Coach's Tent. A large number of Konoha ninjas were sitting among them. Seeing the news from Tsunade, the 3rd Hokage, who came here to check on the battle situation, couldn't help but feel helpless. Want to go it alone without participating in Konoha's defense? Why, forget it, Rizu. Lord Hokage. The head of the Hyuga clan with black hair and white eyes stood respectfully in front of the 3rd Hokage. Members of your 3 tribes will lead some troops with me to defend Kirigakure village. Yes, Hokage-sama. Hinata Hizu nodded slightly. Zhao, Highway, inform your tribe. Yes. Yes. They know that the Kirigakure village is good at using water escape and Kirigakure techniques. Therefore, a large number of perceptive ninjas are needed. Otherwise, once the combat team enters the enemy's thick fog, they will have no choice but to wait for death. For this reason, Hinata, Aberame, and Inyazuka are the 3 most suitable clans to defend the Kirigakure ninja. As the 3rd Hokage issued orders one after another, new defensive formations were quickly released. Tsunade and Inazuka Dai were on the Sand Ninja defense line. Minato and Jiraiya were on the Iwa Ninja defense line. Hitaki Sakumo was transferred to the Kumo Ninja defense line to be with the Uchiha clan, while the Hinata, Aberame, and Inyazuka clans were defending the Kirigakure village with the 3rd Hokage. For this defense the lineup, the 3rd Hokage, was also helpless. Compared with the cutting-edge combat power, Konoha was not inferior to them. But they were facing the 4 major ninja villages. The disparity in the strength of the two sides could never be made up. The strength of the 2 major ninja villages was it is already much stronger than Konoha, and now the strength of the 4 major ninja villages is 3 times that of Konoha. In addition, Kirigakure village follows the route of elite soldiers, and its personal combat ability is unmatched by Konoha ninjas. This battle, how should we fight? Wearing a black combat uniform and running toward the mist, the 3rd Hokage felt sad in his heart. Orochimaru, even if you want to take revenge on the teacher, you should wait until after this crisis, right, please? To the north of the Land of Fire, at the foot of a mountain in the middle of the Iwa Ninja defense line, 2 figures were walking slowly forward, one behind the other. A figure in front suddenly stopped. He glanced at the large open space in front of him. Okay, here it is. As soon as he finished speaking, the person behind him didn't seem to pay attention and bumped directly into his back. Ah! Kushina subconsciously rubbed her forehead. Orochimaru glanced sideways at Kushina. Are you distracted at this time? Are you worried about something in Konoha? Without, no. Kushina hurriedly said. Can she say that she is still confused after being taken out of Konoha by Orochimaru? Orochimaru shook his head and ignored her. Walking slowly to the middle of the open space, Kushina hurry up and follow. Behind here are high cliffs, a small river with clear water next to it, and on the other side are dense forests with thick trees. I have set up a temporary base here. Not only is it rich in natural resources, but if someone when you find this, you can react in time. Sir, aren't we going to the front line for support? What are you doing here? Just stand far away and watch. Orochimaru didn't want to explain. After Kushina retreated behind him, he looked at the specific situation around him, chose a suitable position, and began to quickly form seals with his hands. Bang! Put your palms together. Psychic, dirty earth reincarnation. Rumble. As two roars sounded, two coffins broke out of the ground. Coffin, coffin? Kushina was shocked when she saw these two things. Because things like coffins are for dead people, they always give people a bad premonition. She is no exception. Both coffins have numbers on them. One is 1, and the other is 2. And they are both with black characters on a red background. This is the label Orochimaru carved on himself for easy identification. This time, the coffin board did not fall, but simply disappeared out of thin air. Immediately afterwards, a figure wearing armor appeared in front of Orochimaru and Kushina. One of the two figures had long black hair, wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform with red laminated armor on the outside, and red iron on the wrists of both hands. Wrist guards. The other one has silver hair and red eyes, an iron forehead guard with a face guard on his face, and 3 red marks on his cheeks. He is wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform with blue laminated armor on the outside. It is paired with a white down collar that connects to the back. Both of them closed their eyes tightly. This is... No, no way. Kushina widened her eyes with a look of disbelief on her face. She came to Konoha late and had never seen the two people in person. But, is there a Hokage rock in Konoha? The heads of these two guys are still hanging on it. The first Hokage and the second Hokage? Well, what's going on? The first Hokage opened his eyes and was a little confused. This feeling is, reincarnation in dirty soil. The second Hokage, who regained consciousness, looked at his hands, and then looked at Orochimaru. Boy, who are you? You actually abused the ninjutsu I developed at will. I'm really sorry to bother you too. Orochimaru's hoarse voice sounded faintly. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Orochimaru. I was once a disciple of the third Hokage. 3 generations of disciples? I remember, you were the kid with good talent back then? Boy, don't you know that this technique cannot be used indiscriminately in Konoha? Hearing this, Orochimaru smiled and was about to explain, but the first Hokage suddenly interrupted him. Reincarnation in the dirt? In other words, are you also dead, Tobirama? Brother, can you ask these nonsense questions later? Don't you see I'm talking to this young man? I'm not. You shut up. Duan. The first Hokage immediately turned to stone, with black smoke rising from his body. The first Hokage with no prestige at all? Seeing this scene, Kushina, who was a little scared when she saw the dead and resurrected shadow, suddenly had black lines on her head. Even Orochimaru was stunned. Although he had known for a long time that the first Hokage might be a big-hearted tease, but he was hit so mercilessly by the second Hokage, why didn't he retaliate? What a rare picture! Second Hokage, the technique you developed is actually not difficult. But since you have developed it, you should not blame me for using it. This jutsu is indeed not a good ninjutsu, Tobirama, I have to admit, if you had followed my instructions at that time. Brother, I told you to stop talking nonsense. Don't you know that understanding the current situation is the most important thing? The second Hokage said seriously again. Well, the first Hokage turned to stone again. The second Hokage didn't care about him at all. Orochimaru, tell me, why did you summon us? If there is no reasonable explanation. There's a war going on right now. The 4 major ninja villages are besieging Konoha. Before the second Hokage could get angry, Orochimaru directly revealed his reasons. He knew what the second Hokage was going to say. This technique was invented by the second Hokage, and ordinary people cannot restrain him using this technique. Not to mention the first Hokage. Although Orochimaru can indeed suppress the two of them with his current power, there is no need for him to use his quick words. Just hearing Orochimaru's words, the second Hokage was stunned. The 4 great ninja villages? Siege? Even the first Hokage, after a brief period of shock, put his hand on his forehead and said helplessly, really, it seems that war is inevitable in any era. Is this why you called us out? The second Hokage looked solemn. 4 villages? Judging by your age, the Hokage of Konoha should still be Sarutobi, right? Yes, it's Konoha's 46th year. 46 years? Have I been dead for more than 20 years? What is this Sarutobi doing? Why were they besieged by 4 villages? This is a long story, so I'll explain it to you two later. Orochimaru said calmly, the purpose of summoning the two of you this time is to help Konoha survive this crisis. Therefore, I have no constraints on your personality. Is that so? The second Hokage looked at his hand again. The accuracy of this resurrection technique is indeed much higher than when I developed it, and the power is infinitely close to the power we had during our lifetimes. Orochimaru, have you perfected this technique? Indeed so. Well, since it's to protect Konoha, I won't hold you responsible. After the second Hokage finished speaking, he looked at Orochimaru again. But before you act, can you tell me what's going on with the 9-tailed Jinhyuriki behind you and your immortal body? During the war, the 9-tails Jinhyuriki should not appear here, and I can be sure that you are not one of my clansmen. The second generation Hokage's expression was solemn, and he was completely questioning. If Konoha is really in a critical situation as Orochimaru said, then the 9-tails Jinhyuriki should be put on the battlefield, or be protected more closely. Instead of appearing here. In the wilderness. As for Orochimaru's immortal body? There are even more doubts. After hearing the words of the second generation Hokage, the first generation Hokage also came back to his senses, touched his chin and looked at Orochimaru with interest. Immortal body? Haha, you really have the body of an immortal? Judging from your eyes, you are indeed not from my tribe. Hey, boy, what's wrong with you? As expected of the previous Hokage, his perceptual abilities are ridiculously strong. Orochimaru smiled and had no intention of hiding it. Actually, it's okay to tell the two adults. As soon as he finished speaking, Orochimaru's golden vertical pupils turned into bewitching scarlet. Of course, he didn't want to use illusions on the two of them. One is that it's not necessary, and the other is that at such a long distance, Sharingan's illusions can't be used against them. These two shadows had no effect. He did this just to better explain the origin of his immortal body. Sharingan. What happened? The first Hokage and the second Hokage were stunned. Different from the ordinary Megatama shape, is this a kaleidoscope? This guy. Did you two see it? Orochimaru restored his eyes to their original shape and kept smiling. The body of the immortal and the Sharingan are both scientific research projects that I completed through scientific research. Not only does it blend perfectly, but it also has no side effects. Scientific research. As for why the 9-tailed Jinhyuriki is here. Orochimaru didn't wait for the two people to react, and continued to explain, don't you two think it is safer with the nine-tailed Jinchuriki by my side? Hearing this, the second Hokage frowned. What an amazing boy! Although I don't really believe what you say, I do sense the existence of a lot of Big Brother's chakra on the battlefield. Even though these chakras feel much weaker. In other words, he copied my power through research. The first Hokage was also surprised. Then you are really a genius. It is an honor for me to be praised by these two adults. Haha. The first Hokage suddenly laughed and said, yes, for an outstanding ninja like you, if I were still alive, I would definitely marry Zayazuna to you. Well, based on the time you gave me, Zayazuna should be about the same age as you, right? Brother, they are the same generation. The second generation Hokage has a lot of black marks on his head. His eldest brother is strong, but he feels so unreliable. At this time, he is still thinking about marrying his granddaughter? Is it funny? Alas, at the same time. The first Hokage was surprised. Then Zayazuna is now already married to me. The first Hokage. Second Hokage. As soon as these words came out, even the second Hokage was stunned. The scene became very awkward for a while, and after half an hour. Ha 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 ha. The first Hokage laughed. After he stopped smiling, he looked at Orochimaru with sympathetic eyes. You married Zayazuna? Haha, thank you for your hard work. Orochimaru. Kushina. Hearing the words of the first Hokage, Kushina's outlook was really refreshed at this time. Why does this god of the ninja world have different thinking and logic than ordinary people? Is this jumping too fast? 1 second I wanted to marry my granddaughter, and the next second I wanted to marry my granddaughter. Okay, brother, don't talk about this anymore, let's go to the battlefield to defeat the enemy first. The second Hokage was afraid that his elder brother would say something shocking again, so he quickly tried to smooth things over. Oh yes, let's go. Speaking of war, the first Hokage also became serious. You two, please go to the battlefield west of Konoha village. West? The second Hokage, who put his hand on the back of the first Hokage, narrowed his eyes. Shouldn't we go to the northwest and northeast directions closest to here? I have other plans here. The two Hokage left, and the second Hokage used the Flying Thunder God technique to take them to the West Sand Ninja battlefield. Although they felt that Orochimaru's words were somewhat suspicious, there was indeed a war going on in the ninja world. Moreover, they are dead people and can no longer control much. Therefore, they did not ask too much and planned to retreat from the enemy first. The Flying Thunder God technique is an advanced version of the Instant Body technique. Even without the Flying Thunder God Kunao, you can still teleport. It's just that the teleportation distance is not as far as the mark, and the teleportation interval is also longer. Good, amazing. Looking at the direction in which the two Hokages left, Kushina, who had been standing silently beside her, finally praised her sincerely. The three bosses were having a conversation just now, and a nobody like her couldn't get in the middle of the conversation at all. However, it was an eye-opener for her to see the two previous Hokage just now resurrecting the previous Hokage to help Konoha fight? A thing that sounds incredible, but she became an audience. Especially the first Hokage's jumping thinking gave Kushina was deeply impressed. Of course, what was more surprised than Kushina was the 9 tails in her body. It sensed the situation outside just now. The first Hokage? It almost scared it to the point of peeing. To say the 9 tails, who is the person that the tail is most afraid of? Anyway, it's not the Sage of 6 Paths, nor Ajura and Indra, because when they were there, the tailed beasts had not grown up yet. So the person that the tail is most afraid of is Uchiha Madara and the first Hokage. Of these two people, one controls it and the other beats it. In front of these two people, even if it is the strongest tailed beast among the 9 tailed beasts, it can only be a pet. The power of the two people will completely defeat it. It had no control over its temper. But fortunately, the two Hokages just now were both dead. Although they were aware of its chakra, they did not interfere with its thoughts. After hearing Kushina's words, Orochimaru was hooked. The corner of his mouth curled up. Awesome? Shouldn't it be evil? This, Kushina scratched her head in embarrassment. Jutsu is indeed evil, but Orochimaru uses it to protect Konoha. Can you say it is evil? Therefore, whether a technique is right or wrong depends on the purpose of the technique and the person who uses it. Looking at Orochimaru's back, Kushina wanted to explain something, but found that the ground began to shake again. Boom boom boom. A coffin again? This time, it's still the fourth officer? He, Kushina, can you cook? Orochimaru suddenly said this. Well? Cook. Kushina didn't understand Orochimaru's sudden logic. Orochimaru smiled playfully. The show has just begun. It's been so long. How can we not eat? Ding ding. Whizzing. Cloud Ninja's defense line, the ninja sword collided, and the two figures used the force to fly back. Looking at these strong but slender figures, they seem to be two women? Damn it, go to hell! Cloud Flow, 3-day moon slash. Sharingan, open. Buzz. The scarlet pupils turned instantly. The lightning-fast sword light seemed to have turned into slow motion under the action of Sharingan's dynamic capture. Uchiha Mikoto buried her head. Whoa! The Cloud Ninja's sword light was cut off. Her hair. Not to be outdone, she lifted up her ninja sword. Clang! The sound of impact sounded again. Konoha ninjas, you can't escape. Surrender. Don't even think about it. Uchiha Mikoto gritted her teeth and pushed her opponent back again. At the same time, she quickly formed seals with her hands and took a deep breath. Fire escape. The art of fireball. Boom. A huge fireball with scorching impact was spit out from her mouth. The Kumo ninja reacted quickly and quickly ducked to the side, narrowly avoiding the blow. However, after this confrontation, the Kumo ninja who found the bunker had a sneer on his face, while Uchiha Mikoto had a tired look on her face. Uchiha Mikoto has long been a jonin of Konoha village, and she still has the Sharingan. Unfortunately, the disadvantage of the number of people in Konoha village makes it extremely difficult for her to perform tasks every time. She no longer knows how to perform tasks outside. How long had she been on the mission and how many enemies had she killed? At this time, even after Orochimaru's advanced enhancement, her body was already exhausted. She sensed a dozen Kumo ninjas around her and looked at herself not far away. With only 2 companions left, Uchiha Mikoto has fallen into despair. If there are no reinforcements, she may. Damn it, how could I beg for reinforcements? Today's Konoha is in danger, how can we? Uchiha Mikoto tightened the ninja sword in her hand and prepared for the next defense. But right now. Magnetic release Sandite Shiger. Da-da-da. In the sky, a sudden attack interrupted everyone's thoughts. Careful. Heaven. Ah. Asshole. As the cloud ninjas screamed, a figure with black wings fell from the sky. This is. Seeing this person, Uchiha Mikoto widened her eyes. The third Kazekage, how come? Isn't the third Kazekage dead? Why is he here? And he's still attacking the Kumo ninja? At this time, her mind was full of questions. The other 2 Konoha ninjas were also stunned and couldn't understand what was happening. Bastard, this guy Orochimaru. The third Kazekage was about to curse when his eyes suddenly turned dark black, and then he looked at Uchiha Mikoto who was hiding behind a boulder. Immediately afterwards, dense black sand and iron quickly flew towards Mikoto. Seeing this scene, Uchiha Mikoto was horrified and quickly made a defensive posture. But facing the third Kazekage, she is so exhausted now, how can she still have the strength to fight? But the next second, she was surprised again. Because the black sand iron did not attack her, but formed a few words in front of her. The rapid change of font quickly surprised her. This is, what's up? Uchiha Mikoto didn't have time to think too much, because at this time, she was completely confused. They. Third Kazekage didn't speak. After doing all this, he looked at the Kumo ninja who had the same horrified expression around him. Without saying a word, just start forming seals. Psychic. Boom, boom, boom. With the spread of chakra, a large number of coffins suddenly appeared in the middle of the battlefield between the two sides. There were so many coffins, it was visually estimated that there were at least 200. Such a shocking scene was so shocking that Muya Ninja and Cloud Ninja were stunned. This technique. Bad feeling. The coffin gradually disappeared, and more than 200 long-dead ninja figures appeared in everyone's sight. Cheat, is that a lie? Reincarnation from dirty soil can be performed by yourself or by a ninja who comes out of your own dirty soil. There is no limit to the number of people you can summon. As long as you have the genes of the deceased and human sacrifices, you can summon them. Of course, controlling these people from a very long distance is also a basic operation. Orochimaru could have a god's perspective on these people, but he couldn't let them dictate his orders. Therefore, when he controlled the third Kazekage to reinforce Kuminen's defense line, the moment he saw Uchiha Mikoto, Orochimaru controlled the third Kazekage to convey his meaning. Uchiha Mikoto? Haha, I almost forgot about this woman. Orochimaru raised his lips. This time in the Ninja World War, the army of the dirty soil will not face the entire ninja world. The 4 major ninja villages have not formed a ninja coalition. Therefore, Orochimaru will naturally not bring the sand ninjas of the dirty soil to the sand. The ninja defense line, the IWA ninja of the dirty soil got the IWA ninja defense line. Because in this case, not only will they not be able to do anything to the ninjas in their own village, but it will also affect the control of the reincarnation of the dirty soil. This will distract Orochimaru. Also, in other words, the defense line of Yun Ninja village is full of sand ninja. What's going on? They all came out of the coffin. Withdraw. Seeing so many sand ninjas coming out of the coffins, the cloud ninjas immediately felt something bad. Bang bang bang. Countless smoke bombs exploded instantly, and a large amount of smoke instantly filled the entire battlefield. The cloud ninjas took the opportunity to retreat quickly. The third Kazekage also regained consciousness at this time. Phew, that's really annoying. He didn't chase him, because Orochimaru's instructions to him were not to hunt down these miscellaneous soldiers. As a shadow-level strongman, it was indeed very unpleasant to be controlled like this. However, Orochimaru had no control over strongmen of their level. They are so powerful that they have to fight for Orochimaru. Here, what happened? Where is this? Am I dead? Yeah, I remember when I was fighting the IWA ninja, I was ambushed. Alas, that is, Lord Kazekage. Lord Kazekage, this is... Hearing everyone talking, the third Kazekage was helpless. I had no choice but to slowly describe the current situation to these once dead subordinates. Among these people, there are not only his descendants, but also his seniors. Following Kazekage's narration, the sand ninjas became confused. Ha ha ha, the current army is limited, but there is no problem in concentrating our forces to repel a village first. In the center of the open space under a cliff in the land of fire, a hoarse voice slowly came out from a temporary wooden house. Orochimaru was sitting on a wooden chair at this time. There was a table in front of the chair, and there was a table on top of it. Chessboard. And Orochimaru is sitting on a chair, staring at the chessboard on the table and playing chess? Outside the wooden house, smoke is lingering, and Kushina with red hair is cooking hot pot in frustration. Collecting firewood, building the stove, and setting up the pot, make a fire. Ninjas do this with ease. But she was very curious, where did Orochimaru find the pot? Of course, what she didn't expect was that one person could fight so leisurely. Can 6 people save Konoha? Are you kidding me? Kushina muttered while cooking. Orochimaru channeled 6 people from beginning to end. Of these 6 people, she knew the first 2. After all, there is a Hokage rock in Konoha. But she didn't know the last 4. Never heard of it. One has bandages all over his body, one is a killer, and the other 2 have no special features? Is the stuff ready? Kushina. Horse, it'll be ready soon. Kushina came back to her senses and quickly replied. After hearing Kushina's answer, Orochimaru stopped talking and looked at the chessboard in deep thought. I don't have time to go to Kumo Ninja Village and Kirigakura Village yet. The bodies of the first generation Kage in each village were well hidden, and their top combat power was somewhat lacking. It seems that this is the only way to go. As he said that, Orochimaru placed a chess piece in the Kingdom of Clouds. Reinforcements from the Sand Ninja. On the other side, in the temporary base of Konoha village. All the Konoha ninjas were a little unbelievable when they heard the news. Will the Suna ninja support them in Konoha? Are you kidding me? Aren't they still fighting against the Kingdom of Wind? But after hearing this Uchiha Mikato's narration, their slightly older ninja suddenly understood. From the coffin. It seems that the filthy land invented by the second Hokage has been reincarnated. Reincarnation in dirty soil. Yes, I saw the second Hokage use it once, but that was all a long time ago. This technique was later sealed because it violated human ethics, but now. No matter so much, the current situation is that someone is using this technique to help us fight, right? According to the information, this is indeed the case. Then why are you asking so many questions? Since we are allies, I don't care what his technique is. It's true to say that, but don't be stubborn. Now Konoha is surrounded by enemies, and the morale of our ninjas has plummeted. If this continues, Konoha village will be destroyed sooner or later. He's right, let's win this battle first. Konoha ninjas have different opinions. It seems that at this time, no one cares whether the technique of reincarnation is good or evil. As long as it can save Konoha, everything can be forgiven. Watching everyone chatting, Uchiha Mikato did not join in. Instead, she found an opportunity to say hello to the camp leader. Because Orochimaru just gave her a few words. I'm Orochimaru, coming to the southwest. She is now a jonin and has certain privileges among ninjas. After listening to Uchiha Mikato's request, the camp leader did not stop her. Are you going by yourself? Yes. Okay, but you still have to be careful about what you say. I know. Uchiha Mikato nodded. After leaving the camp, she quickly ran towards the coordinates given by the third Kazekage just now. Although she was very tired, Orochimaru had a very special place in her heart. So, after seeing the message, she came over without much hesitation. The Kumo ninja defense line was not far from Orochimaru's position. They set off in the afternoon and arrived late at night. Whoosh! A red figure suddenly appeared and blocked her way. Uchiha Mikato. Who are you, Kushina? Uchiha Mikato was a little surprised. Well, it's me. It was Orochimaru-sama who asked me to come and pick you up. Come with me. With that said, Kushina turned around and left first. Hearing Kushina's words, Uchiha Mikato was a little confused and subconsciously opened her Sharingan. The Sharingan is countless times more powerful than ordinary eyes. Although there is no way to compare with the Byakugan in terms of insight, you can still see the general flow of chakra. In other words, the Sharingan can see through many ninjutsu and genjutsu. Uchiha Mikato thought it was a little strange that Kushina appeared here, so she opened her Sharingan without leaving a trace and glanced at it. No use of transformation? There is no abnormality in the flow of chakra? Is it really Orochimaru-sama? Thinking of Orochimaru, Uchiha Mikoto felt a little strange, but before she could think about it, the two of them had already arrived in front of the wooden house in the open space below the cliff. It was already night, and this location seemed to be too dark because of the existence of the cliff. It's very hidden. But at this time, inside this large wooden house, there are bright lights. The two walked to the wooden house, and the wooden house opened automatically. Kushina took Mikoto and stepped into it. The figure in the memory appeared in an instant in front of her. Mikoto, long time no see. Orochimaru put down what he was doing, looked at the girl in front of him and said with a smile. Big, Lord Orochimaru, Uchiha Mikoto said in a panic. Orochimaru's relationship with her was somewhat special after all. Just a few days after the two had a romantic relationship, Orochimaru defected. And the two have never seen each other since then. When they met suddenly, she really didn't know how to face their relationship. This feeling is familiar yet strange yet familiar. Well, how have you been lately? Looking at Uchiha Mikoto, who was fully armed and her face was stained with dirt and sweat, Orochimaru felt guilty for no reason. This is probably the one who has the worst relationship among the three women he has, right? Lord Orochimaru. Just a few words made Uchiha Mikoto burst into tears instantly. She could no longer control her emotions and threw herself into Orochimaru's arms desperately. This move stunned Kushina, who brought Mikoto in. What's the situation? Well, Orochimaru is actually a little embarrassed, but now, he doesn't have to hide anything anymore. Let's get down to business first. Orochimaru pushed Uchiha Mikoto away and smoothed her black hair. Not only was his face covered with dust, but there was also a lot of dust on his body and hair. He looked extremely embarrassed. Mikoto, I heard from Tsunade, have you always been alone? What does this mean, sir? Uchiha Mikoto was stunned. Orochimaru came back to his senses. Don't misunderstand this, forget it, just treat my question as nonsense. Kushina, go and boil some water for her, and then take her to the next room to take a bath. Well. Kushina was stunned. Take a bath. Uchiha Mikoto wiped her tears and looked at Orochimaru in confusion. There is a war going on outside, how can she have time to take a shower? Could it be? Uchiha Mikoto suddenly thought of something and her face turned red. Could it be that Orochimaru called her here just to solve that need? But the next second, Orochimaru's words made her feel ashamed. That's right, let's take a night's rest and relax, so I can help her improve her strength tomorrow morning. All right. Kushina is very helpless. In fact, she is not very good at housework now, only a little better than Tsunade. But at this time, she has no choice but to become Orochimaru's servant. There is nothing worse than this. But she has nothing to do, because Orochimaru is not only ridiculously strong now, but he is also helping Konoha fight the war. In order to quell the war as soon as possible, it is nothing even if she serves this uncle. When Kushina leaves, Orochimaru then he said to Uchiha Mikoto, war does not last for 1 or 2 days, so don't refuse and take a good rest. With strength, you can better protect the people you want to protect. Yes, grown-ups. Orochimaru nodded and returned to his desk again. Wars between ninjas rarely take place at night. Because few people dare to take this risk when there is no vision at night. But this night, 2 great gods of Konoha were welcomed at the junction of the Kingdom of Sichuan and the Kingdom of Wind. In the jungle, 2 figures walked slowly forward. Brother, this line of defense has a chakra as huge as yours. If Orochimaru is not lying, this person should be Tsunade. Well, I felt it too. Although I also want to meet Zaizuna as an adult, I still want to solve the problem of war first. According to my perception, their temporary base should be ahead, only, there are many sentries around here. Don't kill them. We are here to solve the problem, killing them will only make it worse. Really? The second Hokage put his hand on his forehead speechlessly. You have died once, and you are still so naive. We must regard harmony as... Whoosh! Before he finished speaking, a dark kunao came straight from the dark corner to the first Hokage's door. The first Hokage was stunned and quickly raised his hand to block. A wooden shield appeared out of thin air and easily blocked the flying kunao. I've told you a long time ago that your approach won't work. The second Hokage stopped and said expressionlessly. After saying that, he shouted into the air opposite. Sand ninjas, show up before you lose your life. Although the second Hokage is very powerful and often doesn't give the first Hokage face, he still has to listen to the first Hokage on some principled issues. Because he can't beat the first Hokage. Hearing the second Hokage's voice, the sand ninjas couldn't help but funny. Show up? Are you kidding me? Why should we come out when you ask us to? Just, what stupid thing to say. Everyone, don't be fooled by these two guys of unknown origin are scary, let's deal with them together. Yes. Hearing the conversation between several sand ninjas hiding in the dark in the woods, the second Hokage's eyes froze. Hey, stubborn! Wait, Tobirama! The second generation Hokage was about to step forward, but the first generation Hokage stretched out his hand to stop him. Big brother! Don't worry. The first Hokage was very patient. After stopping the second Hokage, he shouted forward, Hey, friends of Suna Ninja, I am the first Hokage of Konoha, Senju Hashirama. This time I am here to calm down the war between the two countries. Please go and notify your current Kazekage. Just say I want to talk to him. The voice of the first Hokage was not particularly loud, but everyone could hear it. When the sand ninjas heard this, they also fell into a brief silence. Just a moment later. He said he was the first Hokage of Konoha, Senju Hashirama? That god of ninja world. Two doubtful voices sounded, followed by a burst of unbridled ridicule. Puff! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Does this uncle want to laugh me to death? That's it, how many years has passed since the god of the ninja world has been dead, and yet there are still people pretending to be him. What two idiots! These two guys are clearly playing tricks on us. Okay, stop talking nonsense to them, let's kill them together. The sand ninjas hiding in the dark were amused by the words of the first Hokage. Who was the first Hokage? That was the first Hokage in the entire ninja world, a legendary ninja who once quelled the troubled times with one move and had the title of God of the ninja world. This person is not only a legend, but he has been dead for who knows how many years. How could it be possible to still walk in the ninja world? Therefore, after the first Hokage revealed his identity, they immediately thought that the two of them were imposters. After a brief period of confusion, he couldn't help laughing loudly. Following an order from one of the captains, the sand ninjas clenched their weapons and jumped out one by two. Ninja battles are all about kunao and ninjutsu from a distance. However, in this situation where there are many people bullying and few people are bullying, they usually choose to use physical skills to fight in close combat. Because now not only is the vision poor, but the party with more people is more likely to hurt one's own people when using ninjutsu. But they never dreamed that the person in front of them was really the first Hokage. Facing a strong man of this level, 7 or 8 of them sand ninja rushed forward. Apart from delivering food, they really couldn't think of any adjectives. Bang 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 bang. The two of them dodged the attacks at will, waving their fists and feet. Every time one of them flew away, countless strong vines emerged from the ground to catch the sand ninjas and tied them up. In less than 30 seconds, all the Suna ninjas were tied into rice dumplings by the first Hokage, leaving only one middle-aged man whose legs were trembling and he couldn't even hold a kunao. Would escape? Disaster, could it be, is he really the god of ninja world? How can it be? Cheat, is that a lie? The sand ninjas were tied up and lying on the ground, but their mouths could still speak. Through the moonlight, they could see clearly what the two of them looked like. Therefore, they were confused at this time. None of them had seen the first generation with their own eyes. The Hokage and the second Hokage, but the aura of these two people is so strong, they still come from the direction of Konoha. In addition, the wood released just now. There's no reason why they don't believe it. The first Hokage ignored the man who was still standing, but squatted down next to a Suna ninja, and said seriously, really, why don't you believe me? I am really Senju Hashirama. Please, brother, you have been dead for so many years, who will believe you? Ah? That's right. The second Hokage's cold water, the first generation's sudden realization, and the meaning of their words made the sand ninja even more confused. What are these two doing? Dead for so many years? What is it again? Without waiting for their reaction, Senju Hashirama said again, forget it, go back and tell the current Kazekage that for the sake of peace between the two villages, please let him come to see me. You won't kill me. If we wanted to kill you, do you think you would still have the strength to talk to us? The second Hokage interjected with an indifferent expression. Although he and the first Hokage are brothers, their personalities and handling styles are completely different. The first Hokage usually has a gentle personality, but once he gets serious, his sharp eyes alone can intimidate people. To the people around him. The second generation Hokage has a cold personality, is unsmiling, has an iron-blooded wrist, and is resolute in doing things. He looks more like a person who has his own ideas and does big things. However, when two people are together, the general decision-making is still made by the first generation Hokage. The Hokage made the decision. Therefore, the first Hokage wanted to use negotiation to persuade the Suna ninja to retreat, and the second Hokage had no choice but to follow suit. The vines spread out, and the Suna ninjas quickly stood up. Under the powerful strength of the first Hokage and the second Hokage, under the aura, they did not dare to make any small moves. Looking at the two of them in fear, the sand ninja stammered, I will definitely bring your words to you. Well, go for it. The first Hokage waved his hand with satisfaction, we are waiting for you here. This war was more brutal than the previous two, so the shadows of each country personally directed the battle from the front-line base camp. In other words, Luo Xia had already received the battle report from the battlefield at the front before dawn. Therefore, Luo Xia was also confused. The first Hokage Senju Hashirama. When he heard this name, his first reaction was, how is this possible? How many years has it been since the first Hokage died? How could he still come to negotiate with him? Yes, Lord Kazekage, the other party's ninjutsu, aura, and behavior are exactly the same as the rumors. Moreover, there is a silver-haired man wearing blue armor next to him and calling him Big Brother. According to our speculation, he is probably the second-generation Hokage of Konoha village. A few sand ninjas who came back overnight said respectfully. How come? Luo Xia frowned. Not only the first Hokage, but also the second Hokage? Although his strength is not bad, no matter what, he must admit that the fighting ability of the first Hokage is fundamentally different from his. If it is really the first and second generation Hokage, then he really needs to think carefully about it. Inform Cho and follow me to the front line. After Luo Xia thought for a moment, he made a decision. Although he didn't know the first and second generation Hokage, had Cho seen them? If they were fakes, he could just go and expose them. If they were real, he could too. Understand the specific situation and discuss the next plan. So no matter what, he still has to go and see him first. While Luo Xia was surprised, the fourth generation Raikage from Yunnan also received information from the front line. What? The unbeatable Sand Ninja Army? What happened? As the Kumo ninja who came back to report tremblingly told the story, the fourth Raikage's brows became more and more frowned. Countless sand ninja teams? I guess there are more than 500 people? And the third Kazekage? Yes, they are too weird. Not only can they not be killed, but they seem to be tireless and have now replaced Konoha's defense. The Kumo ninja respectfully replied. With so many sand ninjas and the Kazekage active on the battlefield, they are enough to replace Konoha's defense. If they want to attack, they must first deal with these sand ninjas. The strongest place in the reincarnation of the Dirty Land is where? Summoning dead strong men to assist in the battle? No, this is just a basic operation. The most buggy part is that these people cannot be killed, and chakra is infinite. So after hearing these words, the fourth generation Raikage held up with one hand on the table, jumped out of the seat. Come on, follow me to the front line. There is no doubt that the ninjas reincarnated from Orochimaru's filth have had a great impact on the war. If it hadn't been for this period of time, many strong people had not died, and many strong people had not grown up. I am afraid that the impact of this technique would have been even greater. Of course, the more ninjas reincarnated in the Dirty Land, the more troublesome it will be for Orochimaru to control them. Even if his strength is as strong as it is now, he still can't cover everything. Therefore, he just set some simple attack instructions for some ordinary ninjas who were not very powerful. At most, you can just control it when necessary. Negotiate with Suna Ninja? Orochimaru raised his lips and said, "That's okay. If there are two Hokage, there should be no problem. Then the outcome of Kumo Ninja's side can only depend on the efficiency of the second Tsuchikage." Bang! As soon as Orochimaru finished speaking, the wooden door was violently pushed open. Standing at the door was an anxious-looking Kushina. "Lord Orochimaru, you, go and have a look, Mikoto. What's wrong?" She seems to be in pain." "Is that so?" Orochimaru said calmly. "It's okay, this is normal. After all, this is the fusion of two powers at the same time. Two forces. Not bad, forget it, I'd better go out with you and have a look." As he said that, Orochimaru stood up slowly, tidied up, and walked out of the cabin. The order had been given, and there was nothing he could do for the time being. In the open space next to the cabin, Uchiha Mikoto was lying on the ground, holding her hands on the ground and taking a big mouthful. Panting. If there weren't a lot of sweat beads on her forehead, I'm afraid her posture would cause others to misunderstand. Orochimaru walked over slowly, squatted down, and handed out a tissue wipe off the sweat. Thank you sir." Uchiha Mikoto took it and wiped her sweat. "Not so polite." Orochimaru smiled lightly. "How do you feel?" "Eye power, becoming stronger." "Is it just eye power?" "It seems that the body is also, Lord Orochimaru, this is the Mangekyo Sharingan and the physique of the Uzumaki clan." Orochimaru explained directly. "Although physically speaking, the first Hokage's immortal body is stronger, I can't give you this power yet." Kaleidoscope. The physique of the Uzumaki clan? How come? Cheat, is that a lie? Uchiha Mikoto was stunned, and Kushina was even more stunned. After hearing this, why did the two of them care about the immortal body? What they care about is that Orochimaru can give this power to others. Are you kidding? Uchiha Mikoto knew a thing or two about Orochimaru's ability, but that was only at the stage when the potion helped awaken the Sharingan. Kushina knew nothing about Orochimaru's power. So when she heard Orochimaru's words, the two of them had no expression other than incredulity. Uchiha Mikoto knew the power of the kaleidoscope, and Kushina knew the power of the vortex body. These two powers are the most precious treasures in the ninja world. How could they be given to others casually? The gene of kaleidoscope was extracted from myself before I learned the magic of immortality. As for the physique of the Uzumaki clan, Orochimaru curled his lips. After my research, I found that although the Uzumaki clan's physiques are all very powerful, they are also divided into strong and weak ones. At least not everyone is suitable for eye power. However, yours was specially developed by me. There is no problem in suppressing a pair of kaleidoscopes. Sharingan is the power of the divine fruit. Do you want to use it freely without side effects? In addition to using the immortal body to suppress it, you can also use the power of the Uzumaki clan. Because the Uzumaki clan is a branch of the Senju clan, its power is also very powerful. The two powers come from the same lineage, and they are both direct descendants of Kaguya. Therefore, the physique of the Uzumaki clan can still be used without harm when combined with the Mangekyo. Of course, the physique of the Uzumaki is definitely not as good as that of the Senju. Those with the body of a sage are much less resilient in terms of recovery power alone. But this is also an easy solution for Orochimaru. Fuse Konoha's genes with Nagato's genes to create a brand new one with good recovery power. The Uzumaki clan gene was born. This gene is enough to support any advanced enhanced ninja to use the eternal Mangekyo without injury. Of course there is no problem with a simple pair of Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha Mikoto, who should have been with Uchiha when Namafugaku gets married, she should not go to the battlefield at this time, but should live a comfortable life in Konoha with her husband and children. But because of Orochimaru's intervention, she has been single until now, and she still has to go to the battlefield? Regarding this point, even though Orochimaru's blood is colder than that of ordinary people, he still feels a little sorry. So, he decided to compensate her. It is natural to help her to a certain extent by improving her strength. It must be said that Orochimaru's character now, he is much better than when he first came to this world. At least, he is no longer so cold-blooded as to ignore the women who have been with him. Thank you, sir, Mikoto, thank you so much. Uchiha Mikoto quickly stood up and bowed respectfully to Orochimaru. She has always been in awe of Orochimaru. Even if she had a substantial relationship with Orochimaru, she still didn't feel that she could be on an equal footing with Orochimaru. I told you not to be polite to me. Orochimaru also stood up. You are mine, so of course I can't let you die on the battlefield. With these two powers, unless you encounter a shadow-level powerhouse, no one will be your opponent. Well, you can go back after taking a rest. If people know that you are with a rebellious ninja like me, it will have an impact on your reputation. No matter what you said, Mikoto never thought that you would be a traitor. Uchiha Mikoto said seriously. Because she has indeed never doubted Orochimaru. Haha, thank you for your trust. Orochimaru smiled. But we should try not to let others know about our relationship. Yes, my lord. Go ahead, when the war is over, I will find a chance to contact you. Good. Uchiha Mikoto nodded without hesitation. She did not continue to rest, but rushed directly to the battlefield. After a night's rest last night, coupled with the fusion of strength, her current state, even if it is not at its peak, is no better than before. You know how much stronger it is. So, why do you need to continue to rest? Grown-ups, your relationship with Mikoto. Little brats don't need to know that much. Orochimaru interrupted Kushina without looking back. I have time like you to gossip, why not think of ways to improve your cooking skills? What you made, tisk tisk. Kushina was speechless after hearing Orochimaru's words. It's good to eat some, but he actually thinks that what he made doesn't taste good? Although his cooking skills are indeed not very good, he is still better than Tsunade, right? Also, I am no brat. Thinking of this, Kushina wanted to retort, but she saw that Orochimaru had already entered the room. Uchiha Mikoto and Orochimaru have a special relationship, but no matter what, everyone in Konoha knows that Orochimaru and Tsunade are a couple. So Orochimaru didn't want others to know about his relationship with her. This reputation is somewhat unpleasant. Although his reputation doesn't matter if he's not in Konoha, the same cannot be said for Uchiha Mikoto. As for Kushina, who knows the truth? Orochimaru believed that she would not dare to say nonsense. Even though she is usually carefree, she is also a ninja, and keeping things like this secret is a basic skill. Orochimaru is sure to let her keep the secret. Uchiha Mikoto returned to the battlefield, and Raza, the fourth-generation Kazekage of Suna Ninja, also met the first-generation and second-generation Hokages. At the junction of the Kingdom of Sichuan and the Kingdom of Wind, a wide and bottomless ravine will divide the two countries' lands into two. On one side stood Raza, Cho, and a large number of sand ninjas, a total of 60 or 70 people in total. But there were only 2 people standing on the other side. The first Hokage looked at Raza and the second Hokage with his arms folded. There is a big gap in the number of people on both sides, but this is not a problem at all. Because the 2 Hokages, the first and second generation, are not only powerful, but also dead people, with bodies of filthy earth, so they have nothing to fear. Of course, they were fearless, but the sand ninjas were stunned. Cho, are you sure you read that correctly? Luo Sha frowned. Although he already believed it in his heart, this kind of thing is still unbelievable. The first and second generation Hokage are resurrected. What kind of forbidden technique is this? Cho also said solemnly, no, it would be wrong, no matter in appearance or chakra feeling, they are indeed the 2 previous Hokages of Konoha. Moreover, if I guessed correctly, this technique should be the earth reincarnation used by the second Hokage. The one used by the second Hokage. Reincarnation in dirty soil. Good. Cho looked at the 2 people opposite him and said solemnly, however, I have only heard of it, never seen it, and I never thought that one day this technique would be used on the second Hokage himself. Unbelievable. The 4th Kazekage? I didn't expect that your Kazekage has reached the 4th generation. The first Hokage praised, you are really young and promising. Faced with the admiration of the first Hokage, Luo Sha didn't know what to say for a while, and it took a while before he asked knowingly. It's an honor for Suna to have the honor to meet the 2 Hokages in their true form. However, you are not from this era, why are you here? After hearing this, the second generation Hokage, who crossed his arms, said coldly, you should know very well why we are here. Although I don't know what happened to cause the 4 major ninja villages to besiege Konoha, but, now that we have been summoned, it is necessary to solve this trouble for Konoha. Tobirama, you're right. The first Hokage agreed, we are indeed dead people and do not belong to this era, but we cannot just watch Konoha be destroyed like this. So, you retreat, for the sake of the lives of the ninjas. The first Hokage said it sincerely, and his meaning was obvious. As long as I'm here, you can't attack, and I don't want to cause too much killing. Therefore, your best choice is to retreat. After hearing the words of the first Hokage, Raza and Cho fell into deep thought. If anyone else, let alone Luo Sha, said such things, even his subordinates would definitely sneer at him. I am a great ninja village from a great country, and I will retreat if you ask me to? How shameless am I? But now, it was the first Hokage who said this, so they had to treat it carefully. God of the ninja world, this title is not just for boasting. If these 2 people retain the strength they had during their lifetimes, then there is indeed no hope for them Suna Ninja. Both Raza and Cho can be sure of this. If we continue to fight, it will do nothing but increase casualties. But just retreat like this? It doesn't seem very realistic. Because Raza himself doesn't care, but other sand ninjas who don't know the inside story don't think so. They would only think that the newly appointed 4th Kazekage Raza was incompetent and was frightened by 2 dead people in Konoha. Therefore, Luo Sha is now in a dilemma. I, Luo Sha, respect these 2 seniors very much, but what's wrong? Any further concerns? The first Hokage asked, do you need a reason to retreat? That should be it. The second Hokage took a step forward, want a reason to retreat. This is easy to handle. Since you are the Kazekage, those who come with you today should be considered the elite of your sand ninja village, right? Come on together. If you lose, you have a reason to retreat. The second generation Hokage replied domineeringly. He has the ability to sense and knows that the strength of the other group of people is not weak. But no matter how strong they cannot be the opponent of himself and his eldest brother. He can be sure of this. So, fight is the best way to negotiate. Hearing this, Luo Sha also narrowed his eyes. You don't have to go together, let's do it one-on-one. I don't want my subordinates to sacrifice in vain. Oh? He is indeed a man with a shadow on his back. The first Hokage smiled. Then let me do it. It's up to me, brother. The second Hokage spoke up to stop him in time. There is no need for you to intervene in a one-on-one situation. The second Hokage Senju Tobirama faced off against the fourth Kazekage Raza at the border of Kawa no Kuni. And the Kumo ninja camp on the other side. A cloud ninja in charge of security was carrying out his sentry work under the scorching sun. At this point in the war, unless a major accident occurs, it is impossible to retreat easily. At least, it's impossible in a short time. Today. Who? Hearing the sudden sound of stones on the ground, Yun Ren shouted into the air in front of him. Those who can take charge of camp security are naturally elites, and he is no exception. Only this time, he shouted this, but no one responded. Him? After a while, he frowned. Am I too nervous? No, I was too careless. The sudden voice startled him, and then a face covered with bandages suddenly appeared in front of him. Ah! What a pity! He wanted to call for help, but how could the second generation Tsuchikage give him such a chance? Before the other party could cry out, he covered the other party's mouth and broke the other party's neck. Looking at the camp in the distance, the second Tsuchikage narrowed his eyes. This should be it. As soon as he finished speaking, he quickly formed a seal with his hands, and then pressed it on the ground. The art of psychic, _ Oh? Did you find it so quickly? Then, the battlefield on the Cloud Ninja side is almost over. Orochimaru, who was far away in the land of fire, raised his lips. The abilities of the shadows are very strong. After all, this title is exclusive to the head of a large ninja village. If he lacks combat power, he is not qualified to become a shadow. And the second generation Tsuchikage's ability is even more special. In addition to the well-known dust escape, he also has super perception and super stealth ability. He has a technique called dustless confusion. This technique has the terrifying invisibility function that makes people unable to perceive chakra. No one earns the title of no one by relying on this ability. Therefore, using him to break through the enemy's back row is definitely the best choice. The terrifying invisibility ability, coupled with the reincarnation of the Dirty Land unique way of channeling. Boom boom boom. Another large number of coffins emerged from the ground. But this time, all those who appeared were IWA ninjas. As the second generation Tsuchikage explained, a large number of IWA ninjas began to attack the Kumo ninja camp. Although the IWA ninjas felt uncomfortable being manipulated, there was already a lot of hatred between the IWA ninjas and Kumo ninjas. Therefore, even if they didn't have Orochimaru's forced order, they wouldn't have much hesitation in attacking Kumo ninja. This is enemy attack. As the alert Kumo ninjas shouted, a large number of Kumo ninjas immediately became alert. They picked up their weapons and rushed out of the tent. Looking at the IWA ninjas all over the mountains and plains, the Kumo ninjas were surprised. How come? Are you kidding me? Why are there so many IWA ninjas here? Hateful. The Kumo ninjas were confused and had no idea where so many IWA ninjas came from. Go to hell. Whoa. The sword light flashed. A rock ninja was cut in half, but it was of no use. Because they were all reincarnated bodies of dirty earth and could recover in just a moment. The only thing they were afraid of was the sealing technique. Who has the best sealing technology? Apart from the Uzumaki clan and the Leaf Village, the only one is the Suna Ninja. Although the Suna Ninja are not famous in the ninja world for their sealing techniques, they do have one who is best at sealing, Shikaku. They have been studying the power of tailed beasts since the second Kazekage Samama. Up to now, they have achieved some success. Therefore, in the current ninja world, the sealing technique of the sand ninja is also wrong. Unfortunately, now facing the army of dirty soil a ninja, not a sand ninja but a cloud. A village that likes to study secret arts, but the sealing technique is not very mature yet. Now the cloud ninja wants to use the sealing earth army? It is almost impossible. They just got the information about the dirty earth army less than 2 days ago time, where can we organize an effective counterattack? This time's army, like the Suna ninja army in the dirty land, is 400 to 500 people. In other words, the total number of dirty land ninjas is nearly 1,000. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a waste of Orochi. It took Orochimaru a lot of time. It only took Orochimaru half a month to dig the graves of 2 villages. But looking for human sacrifices was a waste of time. Most of these sacrifices were death row prisoners from various countries, or they attacked Orochimaru. Maru's enemy ninja. When Orochimaru was researching the reincarnation of the filthy land and taking the cells of the small country's daimyo, he would stop by the prison every time he passed by. After such a long period of travel, it has reached the scale it is today. Nearly 1,000 undead souls legion. Don't fight these guys. Hateful. Can't these guys be killed? Lord Raikage. A Kumo ninja quickly walked up to the third Raikage who had just left the tent. The third Raikage looked at the ninjas on both sides fighting in the camp and couldn't help but frown. How did these undead ninjas get here? I don't know, I haven't received any intelligence from the front line. You can lead the people to retreat, leave this place to me. Lord Raikage, this. It seems that these people can only be solved with sealing techniques. With the sealing ability of our current camp. Raikage-sama, be careful. Nani. Before the third Raikage finished speaking, he seemed to sense the source of the danger and raised his head in surprise. I saw a ninja with bandages all over his body floating in the air, putting his hands together. At the same time, energy blocks emitting unique light were condensed in his hands. Buzz. Dust escape original realm peeling technique. Call out. The cone-shaped energy block rushed towards the direction of the third Raikage with devastating energy. Boom! The huge explosion directly tore the tent next to the third Raikage into pieces. Suddenly, the sky collapsed and smoke and dust flew everywhere. Wherever the dust escapes, everything turns into dust. The smoke and dust blocked everyone's sight, but it couldn't block the second-generation Tsuchikage's perception. Can he clearly sense that the terrifying chakra has not disappeared? He is worthy of the man who has the reputation of being a movie star. He is so fast. Who are you, the second Tsuchikage? The third Raikage, who had dodged the attack of the dust release, looked at the bandaged figure in the sky and widened his eyes. The third generation Kazekage leads the sand ninja to attract the attention of the cloud ninja from the front, while the second Tsuchikage leads the IWA ninja to attack the enemy's back row. There is nothing wrong with this tactic itself, but if the first attack doesn't work, it will also be a shadow. The winner will not be so easy to determine, right? Orochimaru murmured to himself. Although he did not expect that the Kumo ninja and the IWA ninja had not ceased fighting in this situation, but this information was no longer important to him. Capturing the thief and the king has always worked. As long as the solution is solved after killing the third Raikage, everything is over. Kushina. Alas, sir, are you hungry again? Orochimaru was speechless. I wanted to tell you that I wanted to go out, but I didn't say I wanted to eat. Go out? Where to go? You don't need to worry about this. You just need to know that while I am out, you can only stay here and you are not allowed to go anywhere, if not. Orochimaru smiled coldly. I will kill Namikaze Minato. Well? I'm running around, why do you want to kill Minato? Kushina was stunned. If you make a mistake, will someone else pay for it? And why is it Minato Namikaze? Seeing the confusion on Kushina's face, Orochimaru also came to his senses. Sorry, I said it wrong. In short, you just need to know that if I don't see you when I come back, the consequences will be serious. I see. Kushina didn't react, but she nodded subconsciously. I'll be back before dark at most, remember, don't run around. As soon as he finished speaking, Orochimaru threw a flying thunder god kunao and nailed it to the wooden house, and then the whole person disappeared in place. Pawn against soldier, against general. As a strong person, you must naturally have the consciousness of a strong person. Whether it is a small-scale battle or a large-scale war, finding an opponent who is comparable to yourself is what a strong person should do. Bullying the soldiers? In addition to wasting time, it does not help the war at all. Therefore, Orochimaru's goal was clear from the beginning. Solve the third Raikage. Let the second generation Tsuchikage find the location of the third generation Kumo Ninja Raikage, and launch a surprise attack after finding it. As long as the third Raikage is eliminated, the Cloud Ninja troops will naturally retreat. In Orochimaru's memory, this tactic has been very practical from ancient times to the present. However, in ancient times it was called capturing the thief and the king, but in modern times it is called a beheading operation. Of course, no matter which world or dynasty it is in, it is very difficult to successfully implement this tactic. Let's talk about this ninja world. Because we are all ninjas, you have the ability to sneak, and I also have the ability to sense. We are all in the same category, and no one can do anything to anyone else. Moreover, the enemy country's shadow strength is also exaggerated. There are too few people there and you can't beat them, but there are too many people and the target is too big to get close to. Therefore, the success rate of this tactic is very low. But now, the second generation Tsuchikage stealth ability, combined with Orochimaru's unique psychic system, can perfectly make up for the shortcomings of this action. Not only can it be easily infiltrated, but there are enough troops at its disposal. But it's quite appropriate. Of course, just in case, Orochimaru placed Flying Thunder God Kunao on the 4 people he channeled later. The purpose is that after discovering the third Raikage, if it cannot be solved in a short time, Orochimaru himself can provide timely support. 4 Flying Thunder God Kunao almost formed a straight line all over the battlefield, which was enough for Orochimaru to reach the Kingdom of Thunder in a short time. When Orochimaru rushed to the Land of Thunder, the battle between the second generation Hokage Senju Tobirama and the 4th generation Kazekage Raza of the Sand Ninja defense line was coming to an end. Water release, big explosive water wave. Magnetic escape. Alluvial gold burial. Boom. Ba, ba, ba. In the yellow sand land, the huge water like a turbulent wave collided with the same large-scale sand gold, releasing a large amount of water vapor. The two people's ninjutsu was like a natural disaster, which made everyone marvel at it. It's just that after the water and sand collided together, a large amount of sand gold immediately absorbed water and quickly became heavy. Whoosh! After the natural disaster, the figure of the second Hokage rushed out of the water vapor and appeared at Luosha's side at an extremely fast speed and kicked him. Luosha didn't react, slowly and quickly waved his hand to control Shajin to block it. Originally, there was a problem with the sand gold's defensive power in stopping the second Hokage, but most of the surrounding sand gold had been mixed with a lot of water. The sand gold has become extremely heavy, so the defense has become much slower. Boom! Luosha had no choice but to cross his arms to defend himself. However, the second generation Mizukage was not weak and kicked him straight away. After a successful attack, the second Hokage took advantage of the victory and pursued it. The moment he kicked out the kick, he threw a kunao. Flying Thunder God quickly follows up. Before Luosha even hit the ground, a combination of punches struck him. Raza barely blocked several attacks, but due to her own speed, she was punched and kicked by the second Hokage. Water escape. Water combo. The second Hokage is very fast and his attacks are extremely consistent. After hitting Luosha again, he immediately used water escape. Ninjutsu and taijutsu alternate perfectly. The water balls, just like the Phoenix Immortal Fireball technique, turned into a large number of water cannonballs, which densely hit Luo Sha. Alluvial gold, although its name is alluvial gold, does contain a lot of gold. But after all, most of the ingredients inside are still sand. At this time, being soaked in the water, Raza was unable to respond effectively to the attack of the second Hokage. That's too late. Bang bang bang. Countless water balloons hit Luo Sha's chest and abdomen, and her arms. Lord Kazekage! Grown-ups! The sand ninjas shouted loudly, but before they had time to step forward, the second generation Hokage had already appeared in front of Raza, who fell to the ground. The kunai was aimed at Raza's neck. This time, they did not dare to act rashly. You lose. The second Hokage said with a cold voice without any emotion. The battle between the two actually didn't last long. One of them used magnetic release, and the other used water release. In terms of ability, who can restrain it? Who, I really can't tell. Because this is already the border of the Kingdom of Wind, and most of the surrounding areas are yellow sand. Fighting in the desert has favorable conditions for Luo Sha at the right time and place, but for water escape users, but it has a great restraining effect. However, the second Hokage's water release seems to be a bit special. Although it also has an impact in the desert, it is not as influential as other ninjas in the desert. His water release can still achieve natural disasters power. So, Luo Sha was defeated. He is worthy of being the fastest second Hokage in the ninja world. Luo Sha covered her chest that was hit by the water ball, gasping for breath. Not only is it incredibly fast, but can you use such a powerful water escape in the desert? So, as agreed, retreat. The second Hokage didn't talk nonsense, he put away his kunai and turned around and walked in the direction of the first Hokage. Although you are very strong, my ability has a restraining effect on you. If you continue to fight, you will just lose your life in vain. After saying this, the second Hokage had already walked to the side of the first Hokage, and the sand ninjas rushed over to help Raza. Looking at the sand that had been soaked by the water within a kilometer radius, Raza helplessly sighing, although I am a little unwilling, I will abide by the agreement. Having said this, he took a deep breath and raised his hand. The order goes down, soon a ninja belongs, the entire army retreats. Hearing this order, the Suna ninjas were helpless. Because they had clearly seen the battle between the two just now. Raza's strength is already the strongest among the Suna ninjas at present. Such large-scale ninjutsu, when the fight is a piece of cake, and even Raza can't stop it. How can other ninjas resist? Once the two Hokages on the other side enter the battlefield, the other sand ninjas have no power to resist. So in this battle, even if they want to continue fighting, and was also powerless at this time. Raza took his men back to the camp to deliver the order, and the first and second generation Hokages were also preparing to go to other firefighting points on this line of defense. Prepare to reduce some casualties before Raza's order was spread. That's it, Konoha. The ninjas also knew about the resurrection of the two Hokages. You are, the first Hokage. The second Hokage. Looking at the two Hokages who suddenly appeared on the battlefield, the ninjas on both sides of the enemy and us were stunned. Younger brother! Cheer up! In a jungle in the kingdom of Sichuan, 5 or 6 people were lying on the ground in a mess. 4 of them had lost their voices, and one of them was a young man. At this time, he was covered in blood and had stab wounds all over his body. He looked like he was already dead. He can't survive. Tsunade, who is fully armed, is using her own power to rescue him with all her strength. Because this man is not only a Konoha ninja, but also her brother, Naoki. Sister, elder sister, the corners of Shencha's mouth were still bleeding out. Don't, stop wasting time, I already, ahem. Stop talking, stop talking. Tsunade couldn't help but shed tears, but the medical ninjutsu in her hands did not stop. Sometimes, fate is so wonderful. Naoki, a kid who was supposed to die in the early days of World War II, changed because of Orochimaru's forced intervention. His fate. However, even Orochimaru did not expect that he, who had become a jonin, would die inexplicably on the Sand Ninja battlefield during the Third World War. More importantly, the method of death was surprisingly similar. In his memory, the rope during World War II, Shu was caught in the detonating charm trap of the IWA ninja and was blown up beyond recognition. But this time, he fell into the trap of the Sand Ninja. After falling into the trap, he was ambushed by the Sand Ninja. Whoosh! 2 figures. Suddenly landing on the ground, the Konoha ninja beside Tsunade quickly drew his sword and warned. However, when he saw the 2 figures clearly, the Konoha ninja was stunned. "You are Zayazuna, didn't expect you, How is this going?" Rope Tree, died. Behind the boulder on the top of a mountain in the Kingdom of Thunder, Orochimaru, who sensed the situation of the Dirty Land Ninja, was stunned when he saw the perspective of the second Hokage. The rope tree is still dead? How could this happen? Could it be that the trajectory of fate can be changed? But the fate of life and death cannot be changed? Really, there is one more troublesome thing. Orochimaru had a headache. But at this time, he had no time to think about this, because no matter what, he had to deal with the third-generation Raikage below the valley first. Although the Dirty Soil army led by the second-generation Tsuchikage only had 400 or 500 people, but because of his immortality, he had some battlefield advantages. The third-generation Raikage's combat power was indeed very strong, stopping the second-generation Tsuchikage and numerous Dirty Earth ninjas. However, the power of cage-level battles was always exaggerated. The two in a battle between bits of shadow, it is difficult to determine the outcome in a short period of time. Compared with close combat, the second-generation Tsuchikage is definitely no match for the third-generation Raikage. But the second-generation Tsuchikage can fly, and the power of ninjutsu is also devastating so. The two are engaged in a continuous battle. In a cage-level battle, other ninjas need to stay away. Orochimaru murmured to himself. As he spoke, he raised 2 fingers and put his hands together. The rock ninjas seemed to have been ordered by Orochimaru and began to deliberately move the battlefield. Soon, the Kumo ninja and the third Raikage were forced to separation. Seeing this scene, Orochimaru nodded with satisfaction. At this moment, a touch of light green eye shadow appeared in the corner of his eyes, and at the same time, he quickly formed seals with his hands. Hai Su Yu Shenwei. The psychic technique. Bang! White smoke flashed, and 3 beautiful figures in white robes appeared in front of Orochimaru. Orochimaru? Channeling 3 of us at once, what happened? Are there enemies that even you can't defeat? If nothing happens, we will punish you. There is no doubt that the 3 beautiful figures that Orochimaru channeled are the 3 beautiful snakes in Ryoji Cave, Tianxin Chenji, Tuanjin Princess, and Ichikashi Heim. Hearing the words of the 3 beautiful snakes, Orochimaru curled up his lips, and then he looked at the Yun ninja camp in the distance and said, I want to deal with the person on the other side before the enemy's reinforcements arrive. The one opposite? Is it the one on the ground? Or the one in the sky? The one on the ground. The one on the ground. Tien Xin Chenji saw the third-generation Raikage with thunder attribute chakra all over his body, and glanced slightly it's a bit difficult to handle. Yes, this person, it's very strong. Our abilities won't have much effect on this type of ninja. I think, in this case, you might as well ask Quan Shi to come over. You have misunderstood. Orochimaru's hoarse voice sounded faintly. I can deal with this person myself. I just asked you to come over and hide it for me. Hide? Well, I have a special status now and I can't let other Kumo ninjas see that I've been here, so. I see. Ruizenji interrupted Orochimaru with a smile. You want us to help you create a fighting venue that others can't see or perceive, right? Good. This is easy to handle, just leave it to us. Thank you. No trouble. The Lolita-looking Ichikashima Hime walked up to Orochimaru, leaned into Orochimaru's arms and spat out the letter with a bad smile. Hey, as long as the matter is done, you will accompany us. Loli didn't finish her words, but her evil smile and the meaning in her words made it easy for people to imagine. Hearing this, Orochimaru also smiled evilly and echoed, if you can promise not to return to your true form when doing things, maybe I will consider it too. Well? Are you serious? Of course not. Hey, I know you are not so kind. Okay, stop chatting, let's get started. Alright. Orochimaru, you are such a boring man. Ichikashima Hime didn't forget to complain before she left. As soon as she finished speaking, the figures of the three people had entered the invisible state and quickly disappeared in front of Orochimaru. Second Tsuchikage, if we continue fighting like this, there will be no results. Below the valley, the third Raikage, whose whole body was filled with thunder attribute chakra, shouted loudly toward the sky. One person on the ground, dodging at extreme speed, and one person in the sky, looking for opportunities to attack. In such a battle, unless the chakra is exhausted, otherwise it would be really difficult to tell the winner. I'm so sorry, third Raikage, my mission is to hold you back. Task? The third Raikage frowned. Who gave you the mission? This question is a bit redundant. The second generation Tsuchikage seemed to sense something, and subconsciously glanced around. Then, the surrounding scene suddenly changed, and the two of them appeared in a large arena. The area around the arena was hazy, and the situation outside could no longer be seen. This is illusion? No. The third Raikage looked around in surprise. What's going on? Second generation Tsuchikage, please step aside. The third generation Raikage leaves it to me. Orochimaru? How could it be you? The arena looks vast and unusually vast, but it is surrounded by a special fog. The originally sunny afternoon became much gloomier under the influence of these fogs. This mist is somewhat different from the mist used by Kirigakure ninjas. Because of this fog, the color tends to be black. At this time, there were only 3 people in the center of the field, the third Raikage, the second Tsuchikage, and Orochimaru. The second generation Tsuchikage was controlled by Orochimaru to the edge of the arena. Orochimaru and the third Raikage were face to face. The third Raikage was very surprised to see Orochimaru suddenly appear in the arena. Because this guy has disappeared from the site of the 5 great ninja villages since the battle in the Kingdom of Frost. There has been no news for so many years. But when he thought about it carefully, he felt that this was a matter of course. Because so many undead ninjas suddenly appeared and were fighting for Konoha, it seemed that there would be no one except Orochimaru. Orochimaru, you really didn't defect. I should have thought that the manipulator behind these undead ninjas is you. The third Raikage had no time to think about the strange dense fog and environment around him, but focused his attention on Orochimaru. Because the environment does not matter, what matters is the people participating in the battle. Yet, Orochimaru didn't care. Whatever you think, I'm here to kill you today. Whether it is for the previous festival, for the victory of the war, or for the future layout, you must die today. Future layout? The third Raikage frowned. What are you planning? Sorry, I can't tell you this. Orochimaru glanced at the hazy arena created around him, and the corner of his mouth curled up. The illusion created by Rika Cave's fairy magic was not cast on people, but on the terrain. Ordinary perception ability is simply not possible. I can't see through such magic. Inorganic reincarnation is a reincarnation ninjutsu that can give life to and control inanimate inorganic objects. Whether it is rocks or the earth, it can be given life. This technique is not simply the use of chakra. Control matter, and inorganic objects move very quickly under the influence of this technique. Even the speed of Uchiha attack cannot escape. Use this technique to change the terrain, and cooperate with the venue created by magic, even if you know that this is an illusion. Perception-type ninjutsu can't sense what's going on inside. Even the Byakugan can only see a vast expanse of white. Is that so? The third Raikage took a deep breath. It seems that I will definitely die today. Great, any last words? Can you let my children go? Your son? No, they are the children of my Cloud Ninja village. Do you regard all the ninjas in the entire village as your own relatives? Orochimaru smiled. Haha, Kage's aura is really special. Well, I promise you, as long as he seeks death, I can let them go. Thank you. The third Raikage clenched his fist. Boom. The violent chuck around the Raikage became even more violent. The ground around him also cracked open. Orochimaru, ever since the battle in the Kingdom of Frost, I have been eager to fight you again. Yet? You are also an admirable shadow. Orochimaru's golden vertical pupils also turned into scarlet, but our positions are different, so, I won't show mercy. As soon as he finished speaking, Orochimaru raised his hands. Boom! His aura was also rising. The amount of chakra leaked was only as strong as the third Raikage. The ground around him instantly sank and cracked. So strong, this guy Orochimaru, what is going on? The only spectator in the arena, the second-generation Tsuchikage, had no eyes and slightly shuddered. From what the third-generation Raikage meant, it seemed that he believed that he could not defeat Orochimaru. And he never thought that Orochimaru's explosive momentum could actually is it better than the third Raikage who uses the thunder. Release armor? This guy really can do more than just hide and use the dirt to reincarnate? While the second Tsuchikage was thinking, Orochimaru flicked his hands, and the condensed chakra quickly spread out in a fan shape. And the Raikage also disappeared in place. What? The second Tsuchikage and a large number of IWA ninja appeared in the territory. When the fourth Raikage, who was organizing a SEAL squad to deal with the Dirty Soil army on the front line, heard the news, he immediately exploded. Damn it, doesn't Konoha pride itself on being a peace-loving village? Why are you still studying such despicable techniques in private? Bagayu Road, Croya dear. Use the dead to fight. Not only can you have good combat power, it can also reduce losses. Oh, yet. Anyway, this technique is indeed very powerful, big, elder brother. A man wearing sunglasses, bronze skin, light yellow hair, the word iron on his right shoulder, and horn marks on his left cheek was walking towards the fourth Raikage while talking in a bad rap accent. A total of 7 knives were carried on the whole body, which looked extremely exaggerated. That's right, but, I suddenly had a bad feeling. The fourth Raikage said in a low voice. Bad feeling, I seem, there are also, yet. Kilabi is still rapping in a bad accent. Could it be? The fourth Raikage frowned and suddenly thought of something. Come with me quickly. Where to go? Father's line of defense. Before the fourth Raikage finished speaking, he had already fled out. Using the third Kazekage to attract fire, the second Tsuchikage assassinated my father. Although I don't think the second Tsuchikage will definitely be able to kill his father, this feeling. The fourth Raikage took Kiribi and flew in the direction of his father. As for the arena on the other side, it was already riddled with holes. Nowhere on the ground was intact, and there were flying thunder god kunai scattered everywhere. Whoosh! Snapped! A figure with violent thunder attribute chakra suddenly appeared, found a point of leverage, and the ground cracked with a light step. And this one has disappeared from everyone's sight. One pupil power slows down, and the other pupil power breaks defense. However, the decelerating pupil power can only be used once in a short time, and the two pupil powers cannot be used at the same time. As long as you understand this, and then pay attention to the foothold of kunai, even Susan, no matter what, you can't stop my attack. Whoosh! Orochimaru's figure appeared on a flying thunder god kunai. It's now. Hell thrust 4 bon hands. Whoa! The figure of the third Raikage appeared in front of Orochimaru, with 4 fingers with unparalleled super penetration power, piercing Orochimaru's face. Hell's thrust Siban Gunshao. It is the secret technique of the third Raikage. By concentrating chakra on 4 fingers, the penetrating power is stronger than Kakashi's Chidori, which is specially used for thrusting. This technique can increase in power as the number of fingers decreases. When this technique is strengthened to the point where only 1 finger is left, 1 finger pierces the hand, it is called the strongest spear. Its power is capable of breaking through the armor of lightning escape. But now, he uses 4 fingers, so the hand of the third Raikage stopped a punch distance in front of Orochimaru. What blocked him was the thick layer of materialized white chakra around him. Hey, is it almost? The third Raikage's eyes were slightly stern. It seems that he still underestimated Suzanu's defense power. Looking at the close hand, Orochimaru's red pupils couldn't help but shrink. The power of the 4 fingers almost penetrated the second form. The penetrating power of this technique is really ridiculously strong, but let's stop there. What? Seeing Orochimaru's strange seal, the third Raikage was stunned, but he was a Raikage after all, so he reacted quickly. Before Orochimaru launched his attack, he quickly pulled away and left. If 4 fingers don't work, then use 3 fingers, and use your own judging from the penetrating power of the hand and the form of the opponent's Susanoo. Even if the opponent upgrades the Susanoo to the strongest form seen before, it can break through the defense with at most 2 fingers. This is indeed the case. It is true that Susanoo in the 4th form can be destroyed with 2 fingers. But will Orochimaru give him a chance? Obviously not. He can obviously avoid this blow with Flying Thunder God. Why would he choose to resist? Because it takes some time to perform the technique. The moment the third Raikage pulled away and left, his power had been condensed. The light green eye shadow appeared again, and at the same time, the special retina appeared. Orochimaru took a deep breath. Immortal technique. White Kaki no Jutsu. Phew. A crystal clear black bead ejected from Orochimaru's mouth, and flew out together with the bead, and a white liquid formed into a long dragon. What's this? Seeing this scene, the second Tsuchikage narrowed his eyes. The long dragon rotates around the dragon ball, and soon. Buzz. Ba. The dragon ball exploded, making a sharp and ear-piercing sound. Along with it, there was a bright white light that could blind people's eyes. The sharp and harsh sound is enough to cause the air to vibrate at a high frequency, and at the same time, the chakra in the enemy's body is also vibrating. The slightly eerie place under the influence of the magic spell immediately became like daylight when this spell was released. The third Raikage is very fast, but no matter how fast he is, he cannot dodge this attack. With his vision blocked, he subconsciously closed his eyes and tried his best to move sideways. Unfortunately, due to the vibration of the air, the chakra in the body was disordered, and it was impossible to correctly perceive the surrounding situation. The sword flashed and blood splattered. Orochimaru's figure holding the Kusanagi sword passed from in front of him to behind him. This time, even the Kusanagi sword penetrated. Wow! The strong light dissipated and the harsh sound gradually disappeared. The third Raikage spit out a breath of blood. This technique. Newly learned. Space confinement reduces air oscillations, and the snake's retina blocks vision, so I can move freely during this technique, but you can't. You, what a strong opponent! A prize! Boom! He knelt down halfway, and the thunder attribute chakra on his body disappeared. Sorry, the third Raikage, your physical strength is too strong, so I have to watch you die with my own eyes. Swish, swish. As soon as he finished speaking, Orochimaru flashed twice more without mercy. 3 sword lights, and 2 more fatal wounds. 1 on the heart, 1 on the throat. Are you really showing no mercy at all? The second generation Tsuchikage walked over slowly, looked at the fallen third-generation Raikage, and said in a low voice. What else do we need to show kindness to our enemies? Orochimaru said calmly. After saying that, Orochimaru's light green eyeshadow disappeared, and the Kusanagi sword disappeared from Orochimaru's hand with a burst of space fluctuations. Immediately afterwards, countless flying thunder god kunao flew back automatically from all directions. Orochimaru put away these kunao, walked to the third Raikage and squatted down slowly. When he was about to extract cells, he directly raised his 2 fingers. Second Tsuchikage, your perception and hiding abilities are indeed very strong, but don't forget, you are the ninja I resurrected. What are you using to sneak up on me? After Orochimaru said this, he slowly turned his head. Behind Orochimaru, he saw the second-generation Tsuchikage holding his palms together, and the dusty light in his hands was looming. Sure enough, it's not that easy. The second Tsuchikage's tone was full of helplessness, but before he could finish speaking, an empty coffin appeared behind him. The coffin seemed to have strong suction, sucking him in directly. Boom! Boom! The coffin was heavily covered and soon sank into the ground with the second-generation Tsuchikage. At this moment, Tien Shinji's voice suddenly sounded in Orochimaru's heart. Orochimaru, there are 2 powerful chakras approaching here. Got it, but the battle is over, you guys should retreat. Well, be careful. Let's go first. As the voices of the 2 girls ended, the surrounding thick fog gradually dissipated, and the arena disappeared, revealing a sunny sky and a large area of dusty ruins. Orochimaru squatted in the ruins and cut off the third-generation thunder. The shadow put a lump on his shoulder and put it into the potion bottle. Before the 4th Raikage and Kirabi arrived here, they disappeared into the ruins. Father! Father! Seeing the 3rd Raikage lying in a pool of blood, the 4th Raikage quickly helped him up. On the other side, after leaving the battlefield, Orochimaru was not in a hurry to go back, but found a place to hide. After sensing the surrounding situation, he began to form seals with his hands. Boom boom boom! Throughout the Cloud Ninja battlefield, countless coffins appeared again. But this time, it's not the reincarnation of the Dirty Land, but the reincarnation of these ninjas put back. The ninjas who were still fighting were all startled by the sudden appearance of the coffin. Before they could react, the Dirty Soil ninjas were sucked into the coffin. After covering the coffin board, it sank directly into the ground. 1 coffin per person, just right. In this way, the attack of Kumo Ninja and Sand Ninja is basically over. The 4th Kazekage was defeated and the 3rd Raikage died in battle. Hundreds of coffins were raised on the Cloud Ninja battlefield at the same time. How spectacular was the scene! Only 300 or 400 people missing. Orochimaru raised his lips as expected of a ninja village from a big country. Its coping ability is certainly not comparable to that of a small ninja village, but it doesn't matter. 4 people reincarnated in the Dirty Soil, as long as those shadow-level powerful people are not sealed, the rest is irrelevant. As for the second-generation Tsuchikage sneak attack on him just now, Orochimaru doesn't care. Because he understands this behavior very well. As a shadow-level person, a strong person naturally has the pride of a strong cage-level person. Being controlled by someone inexplicably like this, normal people will find ways to escape from the fate of being controlled, let alone these cage-level people. After collecting the reincarnated ninjas from the Dirty Soil, Orochimaru left behind the 1st generation. After identifying the direction with the 2nd Hokage, they no longer cared about anything else and quickly rushed towards the Land of Fire. Use your own power to change the battlefield on both sides? It's a bit unbelievable, but Orochimaru did it. Although the technique he used was somewhat unethical, and it was not Orochimaru himself who was involved in the battle, he was never tired of deceit. How to win is the most important thing, and what means you use is not important at all. However, it has to be said. After the information was grasped by other villages, it was indeed difficult to fight. This is especially true when facing a strong man like the third Raikage. It is estimated that Orochimaru would not be able to use the full body of Susanoo, and if he did not use Senjutsu, but still used the abilities that he had used in the Frost Kingdom before, he would be at best a match against the third Raikage. Even if you can win, it will take a long time to do it. This is the importance of personal information. Is there any difference between the chakra patterns of the third Raikage and the fourth Raikage? Yes, but not big. The third generation Raikage focused more on attack and defense, while the fourth generation Raikage focused more on speed. When Orochimaru's information is grasped by the enemy, he wants to defeat the third Raikage in a short time. This is possible only by using those unused powers. Of course, it is useless to say anything now, because the third generation of Raikage has been killed in the battle, and it is only too early for the Kingdom of Thunder to withdraw its troops. Lord Orochimaru. At night, Orochimaru returned as promised. Kushina was stunned when she saw Orochimaru suddenly appeared in front of her, covered in dust. With Orochimaru's look, it's obvious that he's going to fight, right? But, who could fight so fiercely with Orochimaru? Well, you still keep your promise, get me a bucket of bath water first. Good, good. Kushina replied subconsciously. She seemed to have been trained to be a servant. At the same time, on the other side, not far from the orphanage, 3 people stood in front of a simple tombstone that had just been built. Through the moonlight, the faces of the 3 people can be vaguely seen. War is accompanied by death. As a ninja, you should understand this. The second Hokage crossed his hands and said with an indifferent expression. As a man who became a shadow, he has long been used to life and death. Even if the person who died was a close relative, the sadness in his heart would only last for a moment. Tears. What is it? I don't know. I know, second grandpa. Tsunade tightened the Hokage necklace in her hand and said with a still somewhat sad expression. When ninjas die on the battlefield, they are usually dealt with directly on the battlefield, and few of them can be buried in the village. One is that the weather is too hot to be preserved. Another thing is that during the war, they were not allowed to go back and forth between the battlefield and Konoha. Tsunade could not take the body of the rope tree back now, so she found a place next to the orphanage to bury her brother. Xiaogang, please forgive me and accept the change. Well, by the way, Grandpa, second grandpa, what is going on with you? After a period of sadness, Tsunade finally had time to ask the 2 grandfathers about their situation. It's really surprising that the 2 of them came back from the dead. But because of the death of the rope tree, she had no time to think about anything else. The first Hokage said, it's Orochimaru. Orochimaru. Well, it was Orochimaru who used the dirt to reincarnate us and resurrect us. The first Hokage briefly told what happened. Reincarnation in dirty soil. Good. The first Hokage nodded. Speaking of Zayazuna, are you really married to him? Yes, yes, any questions? There's no problem, but I can feel how powerful this guy is. It's easy for people to get lost with such powerful power. You should understand this. I know, Tsunade looked at the 2 of them and said firmly, but, I believe in him. Is that so? The first Hokage smiled. Indeed, you have grown up and should have the ability to make your own judgment. Let's go, Tobirama. I originally wanted to ask about the specific situation of the war, but we are dead people and are not suitable to interfere too much in the village's affairs, so, let them handle these troublesome things by themselves. Orochimaru, how is the battle going here? Late at night, after the second generation Hokage rushed back with the first generation Hokage, he asked directly. Orochimaru did not hide anything. The Iwanin is silent for the time being, but it won't take long for the Kumonin to retreat. Is that so? The second Hokage thought thoughtfully. Then it seems like there's nothing wrong with us. There are only 2 villages left, and Sarutobi can take care of them. The first Hokage smiled. Besides, we have to give these juniors some room to perform. Then release this technique, Orochimaru. But I have to warn you before I leave. This technique plays with the dead, is against human ethics, and requires human sacrifice. You'd better not use it again in the future. Orochimaru smiled casually. Don't worry, seniors, this is a special situation. That's good. Don't you two need to meet the third Hokage? No need, we don't belong to this era to begin with, it makes no difference whether we see it or not. Have a good trip you two. Bang! Orochimaru didn't waste any time and directly put his hands together. The two Hokage's exclusive coffins rose from the ground and put them in. The coffin sank into the ground, and Orochimaru couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Grown-ups, has the crisis in the village been resolved? Kushina walked out of the house softly and said incredulously. She heard all the conversation between Orochimaru and the two Hokage just now. How many days has it been? Has it been solved? Orochimaru nodded slightly. He nodded. That's almost it, but it still needs to be observed for a while. By the way, can you give a massage? Meeting, no a little. Come in and give me a slap on the back. Oh, good, okay. Under Orochimaru's mysterious and powerful strength, Kushina can't think of any resistance at all. He could only obediently serve Orochimaru's food, clothing, housing, and transportation. Orochimaru's system space and alien space are very large, and everything in them is there. After leaving Konoha, these abilities no longer need to be hidden, so he has not used the storage scroll for a long time. For this reason, this cabin is fully equipped. Lying comfortably on the makeshift bed, Orochimaru closed his eyes. At this time, he was not afraid that Kushina would sneak attack him. One was because Kushina had no reason to attack him. Another reason was that she didn't have any ninja tools, so her fists alone were not enough to pose a threat to him. So, at this moment, he just wants to enjoy it. Why do you still want to help Konoha fight when all the adults have defected? Looking at Orochimaru lying on the bed, Kushina was really confused. She had thought about this question more than once in the past few days, but she couldn't think of a clue at all. Facing Orochimaru, she didn't dare to ask, and she didn't even ask Orochimaru. She couldn't tell. So, she could only keep this doubt in her heart. Sir, is this strength appropriate? Well, yes. Facts have proved that the crisis of this war has indeed been resolved. The Kingdom of Wind had so many witnesses in Sand Ninja, and Luo Sand was defeated. They knew that someone in Konoha could use dirty soil to reincarnate, and they reincarnated the first and second generation Hokages. The strength of the two Hokage can be said to be obvious to all, and with the news of the Dirty Earth Army coming from the Kingdom of Thunder, they have no choice but to retreat. Not to mention the Kyumo ninja, who was caught off guard by Orochimaru's army of dirt, and the third Raikage died inexplicably. When Raikage died, they lost their backbone and their morale dropped to freezing point. How can they still have the courage to fight again when they are so scattered? The most important thing is that they don't even know how the third Raikage died. Yes, the third Raikage does have his own guards. But at that time, the Dirty Soil Army came too suddenly, and the lethality of the second generation Soil Shadow was too powerful. The first blow eliminated many of the guards around him, coupled with the deliberate guidance of the Dirty Soil Army later. Therefore, none of them knew what happened in the illusion. Perhaps they could judge something based on the traces of the battle and the wounds of the third Raikage, but without conclusive evidence, Orochimaru could not be targeted as the target of suspicion. About 3 days after Orochimaru defeated the third Raikage, the large forces of Suna Ninja and Kyumo Ninja began to withdraw from the battlefield. The 4 major ninja villages besieged Konoha, and within a few days, 2 villages were repulsed. I have to say that Orochimaru contributed a lot. What? Reincarnation in dirty soil? The first Hokage-sama and the second generation Hokage-sama. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was far away in Kirigakure village, was stunned after receiving this information. As a disciple of the second Hokage, he was extremely familiar with this technique. He also knew Orochimaru. He has read the Book of Sealings. But he never thought that Orochimaru would perfect this technique and then use it on the battlefield. Yes, Hokage-sama. The Konoha ninja who reported the situation wanted to say something more, but another ninja from the intelligence department walked in. Report to Hokage-sama. Speak. The Sand Ninja and Kumo Ninja have retreated. Did you withdraw from the army? So fast. Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned for a moment, then breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, I understand, get down. Yes. The two subordinates slowly left. The third Hokage calmed down and thought about the situation of this war. Calculated according to time, the time for Orochimaru to join the battlefield was no more than 3 days. Counting all the fights, he defeated 2 of them in 3 days. Village? This guy is simply... Thinking of this, the third Hokage began to collect all the information on these 2 lines of defense. The army of dirty soil, plus the 2 Hokages, a total of 4 shadow-level powerhouses? And he also killed the third Raikage? Knowing this information, he had mixed feelings in his heart. The other ninjas didn't know who was the ninja behind the use of dirty soil reincarnation, but he knew that the other 3 high-level officials of Konoha also knew. Orochimaru, how many things have you researched? The third Hokage murmured to himself. After the Sand Ninja and Kumo Ninja retreated, he could completely transfer half of the troops from these 2 villages to the other 2 lines of defense. In other words, this crisis has been temporarily resolved. Although the Jutsu reincarnation is against morality, in any case, Konoha relied on this technique to survive this crisis. Even if the third Hokage wanted to say something, he couldn't say it at this time. At the same time, the Iwa Ninja and the Mist Ninja also received information about the other 2 battlefields. Kirigakura is a little better, after all, they have no impression of this technique. But Onaki, the Iwa Ninja, heard that in addition to a large number of Iwa ninjas, there were also second-generation Tsuchikage in the Dirty Soil Army. Hearing the news made him feel like he was struck by lightning. The second Tsuchikage was his teacher. Now he is actually controlled by Konoha? Simply unforgivable. The Jutsu reincarnation is so terrifying that it scares everyone in the ninja world. After learning the news, they began to consciously protect the remains of the strong men in their village, and at the same time prepared the sealing squad to prevent the raid of the Dirty Earth Army. As a result, the Iwa Ninja ceased war with the Kumo Ninja and began to concentrate on dealing with Konoha. Of course, condemnation of Konoha is definitely inevitable. This technique, playing with the dead, is really against human ethics, and Konoha may become a public enemy of the entire ninja world. But the answer Konoha gave was, if 4 of your villages come to beat me, it will be moral? We do this just to protect ourselves. Didn't you see that after we relieved the pressure, we didn't use this technique again? They really couldn't say anything about this answer. Because Konoha did this, and it was indeed a last resort. Without using this technique to attack, it's already pretty good. Orochimaru-sama, where are we going? Going back to Konoha. In the jungle of the country of fire, 2 figures in black cloaks walked slowly forward one behind the other. Since there was no need to participate in the war, Orochimaru also changed his way of traveling. Just like when the Akatsuki organization captured the tailed beast, he rushed. They all walk, and they walk very slowly. Do you think this is the direction back to Konoha? Moreover, you are my hostage now. How can I let you go back before the war is over? Well, people, hostage? Kushina knew that she was brought out by Orochimaru in exchange for some kind of exchange. But Orochimaru said it so bluntly, she still couldn't accept it. Moreover, Orochimaru's words made her even more confused about the relationship between Orochimaru and Konoha. Thinking of this, Kushina wanted to say something, but she saw Orochimaru suddenly stopped. Just wait here. After saying that, Orochimaru ignored her, flipped his wrist, took out a pen, and quickly wrote something on his hand. After writing, he pulled out a fly and scanned the content. After a moment, the fly looked towards flying away into the distance. Looking at the direction in which the fly flew away, Kushina saw that there seemed to be Konoha's sentry on the top of the mountain in the distance. This is Konoha's camp. Kushina reacted. Orochimaru didn't say much. After saying this, he waited quietly on the spot. About an hour later, Tsunade's figure appeared in the sight of the two of them. Orochimaru. After Tsunade arrived, she didn't care about the presence of Kushina and threw herself directly into Orochimaru's arms, with a cry in her voice. Orochimaru, rope tree him. I know. Orochimaru curled up his lips. I came here just to tell you that I have a way to resurrect him, you do not need to worry. You just concentrate on fighting. Complex, resurrection? Tsunade was stunned for a moment, then let go of Orochimaru and said, dirty soil reincarnation. I have met Grandpa and Second Grandpa before, and I know you can use this technique, but if you use this technique to revive, it's not reincarnation from the filthy earth, it's true resurrection. Orochimaru calmly interrupted her. I will tell you the specific method later. In short, you really don't need to be so sad. True resurrection? Are you kidding me? Tsunade was surprised by Orochimaru's words and couldn't believe her ears. Real resurrection? How could such a thing be possible? Orochimaru smiled evilly and picked Tsunade's chin. When have I ever lied to you? You. Often. Hearing what Tsunade blurted out, Orochimaru was speechless. Because when I was in Konoha, I couldn't expose many of my abilities, so I did find a lot of excuses when I was with Tsunade. Okay, but I'm not lying to you on this matter. Are you serious? Absolutely true. This is too incredible, hey? Orochimaru smiled slightly. Remember, Tsunade. There are very few things in this world that I can't do, resurrection. It's hard for others to do, but it's not that difficult for me. Well, although some specific conditions are required and the process is relatively complicated. Orochimaru's tone was very relaxed and showed confidence, so Tsunade couldn't help but believe it. Because Orochimaru is an expert in this field, and Orochimaru says it's okay, then maybe it's really okay? Thinking of these, the sadness in Tsunade's heart disappeared a lot, and there was a glimmer of hope. Orochimaru took the opportunity to exchange information with Tsunade, and soon had a general understanding of the current situation. The Sand Ninja had just retreated, so there were still many wounded on the front line. While Nanoyu and Tsunade stayed here to treat the wounded, they also observed every move of the Suna Ninja to prevent the Suna Ninja from resurrecting. Of course, 2/3 of the troops of the Sand Ninja and Kyumo Ninja defense lines were transferred to the Iwa Ninja and Kirigakure sides to supplement the defensive strength of these two lines of defense. Orochimaru, won't you participate in the rest of the war? Well, you can just solve the rest by yourself. Orochimaru said calmly. There are only 2 villages left, Konoha will be fine. So where are you going next? Go back to your village. No, I'm going to take a trip to the Kingdom of Wind. The Kingdom of Wind? Yes, but it shouldn't take too much time. If I come back, I will find a way to contact you. Be careful yourself. Goodbye. Tsunade hugged Orochimaru, then turned and walked towards the Konoha camp. Although she wanted to go with Orochimaru, it was obviously unrealistic now. Because Konoha still needs her to protect it. Orochimaru-sama, why are we going to the Kingdom of Wind? Kushina, who followed Orochimaru silently, was a little confused. She knew that she could not resist Orochimaru's order now, but she also really didn't understand this move. Although the Suna Ninja retreated, the relationship between the two countries was still. It has not yet been relieved. If you go to the Kingdom of Wind at this time and are discovered, Aren't you asking for trouble? But Orochimaru's next words made Kushina stunned. Kushina, have you heard of Lulin? Building, Lulin? Good. Orochimaru said calmly, there seems to be something interesting in this place. I'm going to stop by and take a look. Lulin, within the Kingdom of Wind, is an independent city of the Kingdom of Wind. Remember, there is a dragon vein in it. This dragon vein can not only travel through time and space, but also has very huge energy. Although Orochimaru's strength no longer requires the assistance of other forces, but he wanted to study what this power of traveling through time and space was about. He had thought about this place when he first came to this world, and had read some simple information about this place, but because other things were more important, I never had time to come. Now that the layout of most things has been completed, Orochimaru has nothing else to do for the time being except looking for Black Zetsu and helping Tsunade become Hokage, so he decided to come here to study this dragon vein first. Anyway, it was a smooth journey. But Orochimaru never expected that after he came to Lulin, he saw a familiar stranger at first sight. This was a teenage boy with blue pupils and short yellow hair. Shoulder pads, the collar and sleeves are all black, while the lower part is an orange sportswear, with the grey mesh tights as the base, and the shoes and forehead protector are black. At this time, he was holding his chin with one hand, sitting depressed in Lulin, who seemed to be waiting for someone on the street. When he saw Orochimaru, who had just taken off his cloak and was about to enter Lulin, he stood up with a bang. It really happened, isn't this incredible? What's going on? The boy grabbed his hair and yelled. His movements were like Jiraiya's when he was a child. Seeing this boy, Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, then curled up his lips. You know me? Of course, I will never forget your appearance even in my dreams. You belong to Granny Tsunade. Naruto, what are you doing there? Well, Dad. Mother? You, really coming? Orochimaru no longer interferes with the war in Konoha. Taking Kushina with him, he crossed the border of the Kingdom of Wind, walked a long way through the desolate desert, and found the legendary ancient country of Lulin. Orochimaru was just a little surprised to see Naruto, because he knew that Lulin's dragon vein could travel through time and space. They should have traveled from the future. But when he saw a little girl next to him who he had never remembered calling his father and Kushina's mother, Orochimaru immediately lost his composure. What the hell is this? Have a daughter of your own? Even if he has a daughter, is it still with Kushina? Do you and Kushina have nothing to do with each other now? Orochimaru paused and was about to say something, but Kushina spoke first. You little girl, what are you talking about? Where are your adults? Kushina's tone was a little questioning. She is still a girl. How could she have such a big daughter? And it looks like this, are you already 16 or 17 years old? She's not much younger than herself, how could she be her daughter? Hearing Kushina's words, the little girl glanced at Kushina casually and said seriously, Mom, although you and your father are not a couple now, you can always tell something from my appearance, right? I never thought that my mother would be so slow when she was young. Well? By the way, you look like this, really? The girl whispered in a low voice, which made Kushina a little unresponsive. When she came back to her senses, she realized that there was something special about the girl in front of her. T-shirts, shorts, and knee socks are all normal. But the long red hair and delicate facial features really seemed to be carved from the same mold as himself. Although they are not exactly the same, they are at least 70 to 80% similar. Kushina can be sure of this. Only. How so? Is she really his daughter? Hey? Etc. She just said, Dad? Dad means, Orochimaru? How come? How could I be with Lord Orochimaru? Thinking of this, Kushina glanced at Orochimaru subconsciously. I can't believe my own judgment at all. See something? Seeing Kushina's surprised look, the little girl smiled evilly and spread her hands. From this point of view, Dad is more powerful. No matter what time he is, he always looks confident. Indeed, Lord Orochimaru seems to have known about it for a long time. But shouldn't it? Looking at Orochimaru, who had no special expression on his face, Naruto, who was standing aside with his hands folded, scratched his cheek with his index finger, looking thoughtful. According to the information we have received, it shouldn't be the first time for these two adults to come here. Here? 2 adults? Orochimaru's mouth curved. Is your name Naruto? Naruto was stunned, subconsciously, obviously not knowing why Orochimaru suddenly asked him. What's your full name? Full name, my name is... Orochimaru is a time traveler and is already one of the 3 famous ninjas in the ninja world. The ability to analyze intelligence is naturally extremely fast. Based on just a few words from the 2 of them, he analyzed a general situation. First of all, it seems that I have a daughter, and it seems that she really has a daughter with Uzumaki Kushina. Secondly, Naruto has nothing to do with Kushina, because his full name is Namikaze Naruto. And he didn't call Kushina mom when he saw her. Finally, Minato Namikaze should not die in the future? Minato is not dead? Come to think of it, Namikaze Minato was supposed to become the 4th Hokage and then die on the night of the Kyuubi. But Kushina was not with Namikaze Minato, and he would not be Hokage, so naturally there would be no Night of the 9 Tails. If it wasn't Hokage and there was no Kyuubi night, Namikaze Minato wouldn't have to die. You know, how did the Night of the 9 Tails happen? It was when Kushina gave birth to a child that Namikaze Minato's disciple, Uchiha Obito, saw that the seal was loose and came back for revenge and captured Kyuubi. But now, of course, Orochimaru will not leave the Kyuubi on Kushina to Konoha, and the night of the Kyuubi will naturally be gone. Namikaze Naruto? Orochimaru smiled, then looked at the little girl. Haha, what's your name? If you are really my and Kushina's daughter, your last name should be Uzumaki. Yes. My name is Uzumaki Rage. My mother got it for me. The little girl said arrogantly. Seeing this scene, Kushina was in a trance. The surname is Uzumaki? Why? Big, sir, what's going on, what's up? At this time, she was completely confused. Let's not talk about the issue of the girl's surname being Uzumaki. It's hard to explain to such an old daughter, right? Why do you think Lord Orochimaru accepted it so quickly? Could it be that he was hit? Illusion? Let me briefly explain it. Seeing Kushina's question, the girl named Uzumaki Raitsu explained this is what happened. As the 2 talked about it, Kushina finally figured it out. Are they from the future? Travel through time? Isn't this a bit nonsense? And I have an extra daughter out of nowhere. This feeling is not to mention how weird it is. The most important thing is that this daughter is born to Orochimaru. She seems to be about the same age as herself, and she also has her last name? Oh my god! Thinking of this, Kushina was surprised, her face suddenly turned red, and her look at Orochimaru became abnormal. Orochimaru is a married man, how could he have a child with him? This must be an illusion, right? However, the flow of his chakra is normal, and he is definitely not under an illusion. And looking at the girl's appearance and red hair, she felt that this matter was very likely to be true. There is no doubt that Kushina cares about the fact that she has a daughter, and why is the daughter Orochimaru? But what Orochimaru cares about is the information from the 2 people. In other words, you all came here through the dragon vein, and you are not the only ones who came here. That's it. Can dragon vein freely control travel time? Orochimaru raised his eyebrows. The dragon vein in his memory is only valid once, and the travel time is 20 years. But now, after listening to the 2 people's stories, Orochimaru was sure that they traveled through 18 years ago. In other words, they are people from 18 years later. Dad has to research this himself. Before coming here, Aunt Mikan once told us not to reveal too much information, otherwise it will easily cause the world to collapse. In this case, the consequences will be very serious, and even I may disappear. Aunt Mikoto? Orochimaru smiled faintly. He. How many people are here in total this time? Is there anyone I know? Now, I know this. Naruto volunteered, but before he finished speaking, a cold voice rang out. Naruto, it seems it's not your turn to introduce me. Whoosh! Whoosh! As soon as the voice fell, 3 figures fell from the sky. Idiot bastard Sasuke, what do you mean? Sasuke? Sasuke Uchiha? Orochimaru looked at the 3 people who had just landed with great interest. Sasuke was different from the one in his memory. Although he was still handsome and arrogant, he was not as cold-hearted. The age also seems to be about 16 or 17 years old than Uzumaki Rage. But the clothes are the black ones of the Konoha Uchiha clan, with a red and white table tennis racket uniform on the back. In other words, he is still Uchiha Fugaku's son? And he didn't defect after 18 years? Otherwise, I wouldn't wear the uniform of the Konoha Uchiha clan. Well, this is also a natural thing. After all, in the original work, he was the initiator of Sasuke's defection. He is not interested in him now. He doesn't need his body or his eye power. Naturally, he doesn't need to defect. What do I mean, don't you understand? I just don't want you, an idiot, to introduce my name. Sasuke said casually. What? If you have the guts, just say it again. Just say it, you are an idiot. Damn it, I want to duel with you, duel. The 2 people's eyes met, and there were strong sparks. Okay, Naruto, Sasuke, stop arguing. The pink-haired girl with a broad forehead next to her quickly tried to persuade her. She was quite depressed at this time. She didn't understand at all why these 2 people, even though they were so old, still quarreled at every turn. Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura? Plus a leading jonin, Kakashi Hatake? Orochimaru smiled faintly. This is considered the future of Class 7. Well. Good, amazing. Sir, do you actually know about our Class 7 at this time? Kin, at this time, aren't we stillborn? This is what happened. Kakashi, who was wearing a mask, also had surprise in his eyes. He obviously didn't know what was going on. Even if Orochimaru knew the names of Naruto and Sasuke through the conversation just now, he would not know the names of the 3 of them and himself. Are you a member of Team 7? Orochimaru didn't bother to explain. Although I am surprised to see you and curious about what you are doing here, I still have my own things to do. So, Kushina, let's go. Well? Walk? Ignore them. Kushina was stunned. She glanced at her daughter subconsciously. It looked like this. They are people from the future. If they know too much about the future, they will have less fun. Orochimaru glanced at Kushina with a meaningful look. What do you think? After saying that, Orochimaru ignored everyone and walked slowly towards Lulin. After just a short period of contact, Orochimaru had obtained a lot of information. This information was taken for granted by Kakashi and others, but for Kakashi and others, for him, it is very strange. Because these things are very different from his memory. In this case, he does know too much about the future. Hearing this, everyone else was stunned, and Kushina had no choice but to leave. Although she really wanted to chat with that daughter and ask about the future, but what Orochimaru said seemed to make sense. We know too much about the future, but if it changes, it seems really meaningless. So, let's go our separate ways. But just as the 2 were about to leave, Sasuke's cold voice suddenly sounded. Orochimaru, wait. Well. Sasuke. What's the situation? Seeing Sasuke's serious look and hearing Sasuke proudly calling Orochimaru's name, Naruto and Sakura were stunned again. Kakashi was also stunned. Only the Uzumaki Rage, who claimed to be Orochimaru's daughter, with a smile on his lips, as if he was watching a good show. Orochimaru stopped, but he didn't look back. Something's wrong? My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I didn't want to come here at first, but as soon as I heard I could see you, I came. Then what? Then I challenge you. Don't be impulsive, Sasuke. Kakashi quickly reached out to stop him. Because no matter what time period Kakashi was in, he always had a deep fear of Orochimaru. Don't stop me, the purpose of my coming here is to fight with him. You are no match for him. Not his opponent? Uchiha Sasuke smiled confidently and had already pulled out the ninja sword from his back. How will you know if you don't try? Come on, Orochimaru, let's show off. A showdown. Hearing this, Orochimaru felt a little funny. He slowly turned his head and looked at Sasuke opposite him carefully. The ninja sword is not the Kusanagi sword, and the eyes don't have the Megatama Samsara eye. Ha ha ha, do you think you are qualified? Damn it, stop looking down on people, watch out. Whoosh. An afterimage of Sasuke rushed directly in front of Orochimaru, raised his sword and slashed. His speed was so fast that no one else could see him clearly. But Orochimaru didn't move from beginning to end. Buzz. Ninja sword. It stopped while still in mid-air. This is... Orochimaru said calmly, you didn't even understand my information, so you came to challenge me. As soon as he finished speaking, the ninja sword flew out at an extremely fast speed with a swish sound. Finally, it was firmly nailed to the wall next to it. Sasuke reacted quickly. The moment his ninja sword was thrown away by the magnetic escape projectile, his dark eyes turned scarlet red, and he raised his leg and kicked Orochimaru in the face. Orochimaru's expression remained unchanged, and he easily clasped the opponent's ankle with his hands. Countless snakes quickly emerged from his cuffs and crawled up Sasuke's feet. Sasuke wanted to move away, but the difference in strength between the two was so great that he simply couldn't do it in a short time. Damn it, take my move, flame escape, add earth life. Buzz. The three Megatama Sharingan rotated quickly and turned into a six-pointed star pattern. Immediately afterwards, a huge chakra burst out instantly, and black flames appeared on the surface of the chakra. Orochimaru let go in time, and the previous snakes were affected by this sudden black fire. The flames burned to death. Sasuke also used the force to fly back. Seeing this scene, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Mangekyo? No wonder you dare to challenge me, but, do you think a pair of kaleidoscopes is enough? Stop talking! Sasuke said impatiently. As he spoke, the huge purple ghost warrior appeared on the streets of Lulan. The ghost warrior held a bow and arrow in his hand. The arrow of the bow and arrow was aimed at Orochimaru next to Kushina. Orochimaru, I heard that you also have Sharingan. Although I don't know how you got it, I will use these eyes today. Boom! Before Sasuke could finish his words, he flew out inexplicably. Boom! After flying out, it smashed into a wall next to the street. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. What just happened? Lulan. The surrounding citizens who had noticed the movement long ago were amazed at this powerful force, but they immediately hid far away, for fear of hurting innocent people. After seeing Sasuke flying out and smashing into a wall, they had to be thankful for their previous choice. In the field, Sasuke's Susanoo had dissipated and he struggled to crawl out of the rocks. Orochimaru stood in front of Sasuke, with a playful smile on his face. You know I have the Sharingan, but don't you know I also have the Flying Thunder God? Flying Thunder God? Varied, when? Sasuke was stunned, and subconsciously looked at his ankle that was grabbed by the other party before. There was a snake-shaped Flying Thunder God mark engraved on the shoe? Use a kaleidoscope in front of me? I got these eyes earlier than your father. Susanaa's defense is indeed very strong, but the space where the person is standing in the middle is indeed hollow. If you use the Flying Thunder God to jump in and directly attack the main body, there will be no problem at all. Hateful. Okay, Sasuke. Sasuke was a little unwilling. After standing up from the pile of rocks, he still wanted to take action. Kakashi and the other three appeared in time to stop him. No matter what time period, Lord Orochimaru's strength is not something we can compete with. If you fight him, you have no chance at all. Yes, Sasuke, don't go. Sakura also held Sasuke's shoulders and echoed. But... Hee, I told you a long time ago that you can't hold on for 20 seconds, you still don't believe me? Do you believe it now? Uzumaki Rage jumped up to Kushina, took Kushina's arm and said playfully. Her smile was slightly naughty, but the action of holding Kushina's arm was very natural. She held her arm. Kushina didn't care about the outcome of the battle between Orochimaru and Sasuke. Instead, she was a little overwhelmed by the girl's sudden movements. But the other party's natural movements and the inexplicable intimacy on her body made her feel extremely comfortable. This is a very contradictory psychology. And when Orochimaru heard this, he understood the general idea instantly. It turns out that Sasuke challenged himself because he was inspired by this so-called daughter? Uchiha's people are competitive and can't get rid of this problem unless they encounter some special things. Therefore, Sasuke's current character should be no different from other Uchiha people. Shaking his head and no longer thinking about it, Orochimaru said again, turned and left. Let's go, Kushina. Okay, good. Kushina seemed a little reluctant to let go, knowing that this girl might be her daughter, but she didn't dare to disobey Orochimaru's orders, right? Wait, Dad, I'm going with you. The little girl volunteered. Hey, Lingyu, wait for us. That, you are really mine. Seeing the little girl following up, Kushina was secretly happy and asked. Uzumaki Ryu said happily, it's so true, Mom. This feeling is really strange. The little girl's happy look seemed to have infected Kushina, and she also smiled from the bottom of her heart. Yin-Yang escape technique is a technique that creates everything from nothing and gives life to it. Yin escape represents the power of the spirit, and Yin escape technique can create a body invisibly. Yang escape represents the power of the physical body, and Yang escape technique can inject life into the body. To put it simply, Yin release creates the form, and Yang release gives life. Sasuke Uchiha was originally supposed to be the reincarnation of Indra and the savior of the ninja world. When he was 16 or 17 years old, he had the strongest Yin release besides the Sage of Six Paths. Hitomi the power has also evolved to the level of an eternal kaleidoscope and a six-magatama samsara eye. But for some reason, he has not obtained the power that originally belonged to him. It seems that he is almost 17 years old, and he only has a pair of six-pointed star kaleidoscopes. Orochimaru doesn't know what happened in the meantime, but as he said, he doesn't want to know what's going on in the future at all. He is a time traveler, so he already knows a lot of things that may happen in the future. But as his strength increases, the functions of these memories are getting less and less, and the disadvantages are increasing. The most obvious disadvantage is that it will affect his judgment of the current situation. Just like when the three great ninja villages forced Konoha to hand him over same. According to normal thinking, Orochimaru could completely predict this kind of thing. But in the end, he was very surprised because it was inconsistent with the events in his memory. This feeling was very unpleasant. And in the future, if you know too much about things, you will not only lose your enthusiasm for life, but you will also fall into the entanglement of change and not change. Living like this will only be painful. Therefore, Orochimaru did not ask how many people will happen in the future. No matter what, I don't care what the fate of others will be. Stop, what do you do? In front of the most magnificent building in Lulin, a guard wearing armor and weapons blocked Orochimaru's path. Who is your supreme leader here? Take me to him. Orochimaru looked calm, but the guard was extremely upset. Who are you? Our queen can be seen just by you. Queen? Orochimaru raised his eyebrows. Then we need to meet you even more. Lead the way. If you don't want me to demolish this place. What? You are looking for death? Bang! The guard flew out directly. The Queen of Lulin is named Sarah. She has beautiful crimson hair and beautiful dark brown eyes. Originally, according to the normal timeline, Naruto's team would come here in Konoha 63 to perform a mission to help the Suna ninja pursue the rebel ninja. Moreover, he traveled to 20 years ago, that is, the 43rd year of Konoha, and met his father Namikaze Minato. As a result, father and son teamed up to defeat the rebel named Lushan. But Orochimaru knew that it was completely impossible for Namikaze Minato to appear in Lulin at this time in Konoha 43. Because before the end of the Third Ninja War, the relationship between the five major powers was not particularly good. Under such circumstances, Konoha is basically preparing for war, so how can it become an alliance with the country of wind? Not to mention sending Bofeng Shaman to Lulin in the Kingdom of Wind to perform a mission. Therefore, whether there is such a traitorous ninja in Suna Ninja Village, and whether Minato Namikaze has ever been to Lulin, all these remain to be considered. Of course, these have nothing to do with Orochimaru anymore, because his goal is just dragon veins. Stranger, please stop. Seeing the guards lying on the ground in the palace hall wailing, Sarah quickly spoke to stop them. Are you the queen here? It looks pretty good. Orochimaru walked forward slowly and raised his lips. Can we talk alone? Orochimaru's way of meeting the queen is simple and crude. At this time, he even forgot the most basic courtesy. Originally, in this situation, as long as he was a little more humble, it would be easy to meet the Queen of Lulin. But he still chose such a direct and brutal method. Because he feels that when a person has no strength, he can pretend to be a grandson, or he can be a coward. After all, a man can bend and stretch. But when you have strength, you should be more forceful and domineering. You have to have the kind of aura that says you are not worthy enough to talk to me. Although Orochimaru is not suitable for taking this route, he doesn't want to waste too much time when he comes to Lulin. So, just be direct. Queen Sarah is wearing a luxurious robe, followed by several guards. After coming down, Orochimaru was immediately surrounded. But Orochimaru didn't care at all. He walked up to her unscrupulously and made strange requests to her. Chat. Queen Sarah's eyes flashed with disgust. You are originally guests who have come from afar, and we should entertain you, but the way you came in is really unpleasant. Sorry for using it in such an annoying way. Orochimaru said indifferently, but I really don't like beating around the bush when I'm doing business. The queen can refuse my request, but you must also bear the consequences. Bastard, who do you think you are? Take him down. Sarah did not speak, but the guard captain beside her spoke first. A stranger suddenly entered the Lulin palace, inexplicably beat down so many of their guards, and now he threatens them? My uncle can bear it, but my aunt can't either. Etc. The guards were about to take action when Kakashi, who came in behind, suddenly spoke. Orochimaru did not move. Kakashi seemed to have the tacit approval and quickly stepped forward to communicate with the queen. Soon, Sarah's expression changed from disgust to an accident, and then the accident turned into surprise. Finally, the surprise turned into horror. How can it be? Lulin is an independent city in the Kingdom of Wind. This place is under the jurisdiction of the Kingdom of Wind, but it is not under the jurisdiction of the Sand Ninja Village. After Orochimaru became a Sannin in World War II, he disappeared for a long time. Information about the battle in the Land of Frost and the Three Wars could not be transmitted here. Therefore, it is impossible for people in Lulin to know Orochimaru's name. However, Kakashi seems to have been in contact with Sarah for a long time, so his words can have an impact on Sarah. Mr. Kakashi, you you said he could easily destroy this city? Hearing this, Kakashi's face behind the mask showed a trace of helplessness. Don't talk about this city, even your sand ninja village in the Kingdom of Wind, I'm afraid I can't stop him alone. So, if you have any request, try to agree to it. After all, Lord Orochimaru's power has already surpassed the scope of our ordinary ninjas. How come? Sarakudna Euro trademark T believe it. He knew Kakashi's strength very well. Ordinary ninjas are no match for Kakashi. But looking at Kakashi now, it seems like he doesn't even have the courage to fight Orochimaru. Kakashi took a deep breath and said cautiously, please believe me, Your Majesty the Queen. This, okay. Sarah was a little skeptical of Kakashi's words. Because she didn't believe that a person could be so strong. But in her mind, Kakashi was a very trustworthy ninja, and she didn't know how to do it. She didn't dare to gamble with the fate of the entire Lulin, so she could only compromise with Orochimaru. Guys, please follow me. Hearing this, Orochimaru raised his lips and followed slowly. Queen Lulin Palace. Kakashi was waiting at the door with Team 7 and 2 women from the Uzumaki clan. Orochimaru was alone inside chatting with the queen. After listening to Orochimaru's story, Sarah was still a little surprised. Dragon vein. Good. The power of this thing is a bit strange, maybe it will be useful to me. I just have time this time, so I will stop by to take a look. Orochimaru said it easily, as if he was back to visit his own back garden. But Sarah didn't seem to buy it. But the dragon vein is the lifeblood of the earth. It contains chakra that surpasses other places. If used carelessly, it is very likely to destroy the entire earth. Destroy the entire earth? You overestimate the power of dragon veins. Orochimaru interrupted Sarah. As long as it is chakra, its power is limited. You said it is possible that it can destroy Lulin, but can it destroy the entire earth? Ah! Orochimaru smiled disdainfully and didn't bother to continue. The chakra of the entire earth comes from divine trees and divine fruits. Even the 10 tails incarnation of the sacred tree dare not say that it can destroy the entire earth. Just a dragon vein? What to destroy? Is that so? After hearing Orochimaru's words, Sarah had no choice but to say then, may I ask how long does it take for adults to study dragon veins? This is not necessarily true. It may be 3 to 5 days, or it may be 3 to 5 months. It depends on the complexity of the dragon vein. Okay, then, please give me some time to evacuate the people. No need to go to such trouble. Orochimaru waved his hand casually. Anyway, I was only studying the dragon vein, and I didn't say that I must possess it. With my own strength, there was no way I could let the dragon vein be destroyed. After some discussion, Sarah finally agreed to take Orochimaru to Dragon Vein. The others remained at the palace, where she entertained them with great hospitality. It just so happens that Kushina can take this time to talk to her future daughter. Time and space are powers that surpass ordinary ninjutsu. There are many space-based ninjutsu in the entire ninja world, except for those at the 6th level in the later stages, there are also quite a few. For example, the art of channeling, storage scroll, flying thunder god, divine power, the heavenly sending art of Yun Ninja Village, etc. all belong to the space system. But Orochimaru has never seen anything related to time. Therefore, Orochimaru is really interested in this ability to travel through time and space. While Orochimaru followed Sarah to the Dragon Vein, the key battle of the Third Ninja World War, the Battle of Kana Bridge, also completely broke out. This time in the Great Ninja World War, due to Orochimaru's joining, there is no longer the Battle of Mount Kikyo on the Suna Ninja defense line, but the Battle of the Kana Bridge on the Iwa Ninja Village defense line still exists. Namikaze Minato instantly killed 50 Iwa Ninja Jonin, and at the same time repelled thousands of enemy ninja troops and became famous, achieving his name of Golden Flash. However, this time the Shikoku siege still caused Konoha to suffer heavy losses. Before the start of the Third War, there were more than 30,000 and nearly 40,000 ninjas in Konoha. After this war, there were only less than 20,000 people left. And they have to use 20,000 people, so it is extremely difficult to deal with Kirigakuru's ninjas. Sarutobi, have you really decided to let Tsunade succeed the fourth Hokage? Phew, it seems I have no choice. Sarutobi Hiruzen blew out a smoke ring. In the Hokage conference room in Konoha village, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen called over Koharu and Mito Kitanen to discuss the issue of the ownership of the fourth Hokage. Well, they didn't call Danzo. Because Danzo's thoughts are known to everyone, he and Sarutobi Hiruzen are completely different factions. Therefore, Sarutobi Hiruzen will naturally not discuss with Danzo about the succession of the next generation of Hokage. After the enemies at the Suna Ninja defense line and Kyumo Ninja defense line retreated, Hiruzen Sarutobi returned to the Leaf Village from the front line after fighting the Kana Bridge. After returning, I also began to think about various problems in Konoha village. When the first Hokage was alive, no one in the entire ninja world dared to mess around. After the death of the first Hokage, the second Hokage succeeded and a war broke out. But in this war, Konoha only had a conflict with the Kyumo ninja. After the war, the two villages also formed an alliance. But after the second Hokage died and he came to power, everything became different. The demise of the Uzumaki clan, World War II, World War III, and even Orochimaru's defection can all be said to be caused by his poor decision-making. All this proves that he is inferior to the two previous Hokages. Therefore, even if he continues to sit down in this position, it will be difficult for him to inherit it. After the war, it has become a foregone conclusion that he will abdicate in favor of talents. It is absolutely necessary to choose your successor in advance. In fact, in his mind, Tsunade was not the most suitable candidate, especially after Orochimaru defected. But he had no choice. Because the Nine-Tails Jinhyuriki is still in Orochimaru's hands. Coupled with Orochimaru's own strength and the army of dirty soil, he did not dare to take this risk. Therefore, even if he didn't want to give up this position to Tsunade, he could only do this in the end. The procedure for succeeding to the throne of Hokage is relatively complicated. Not only does it require the votes of more than 50 jounin in the village, but it also requires the consent of Konoha's senior management and daimyo. After succeeding to the throne, you must also obtain the support of the family's wealthy family to ensure the normal operation of the Hokage position. But as far as Tsunade is concerned, there are no problems in these aspects. The only thing that needs to be avoided is Orochimaru's reputation as the rebellious wife of ninja. Of course, this is actually not a big deal. You know, how many people has Tsunade, as a medical master, treated on the battlefield? How many people have been detoxified? How many lives have been saved? This alone is enough for most Konoha ninjas to ignore this point, not to mention that Konoha's top brass can secretly stop these gossips. After hearing what Sarutobi Hiruzen said, the other two consultants were also helpless. It seems that there is no other way now. What happened back then, for Orochimaru, was indeed. Oh, forget it, I hope Tsunade can think more about the village after becoming Hokage. Fire, Naruto. On the front line, Tsunade was stunned after receiving this secret letter. She is actually the next Hokage? What's going on? How can she become the Hokage as a female streamer and the wife of the rebellious ninja Orochimaru? As a third-generation Hokage, one of the shinobi, she knew very well. Although the position of Hokage in Konoha requires the vote and approval of more than 50 jonin before he can participate in the election, in fact it only requires the decision of the previous Hokage and Konoha's top management. As long as the person who inherits the position of Hokage is not particularly outrageous, the jonin will basically follow the wishes of the previous Hokage in the election. But why is it him? Tsunade is a little confused. The most important thing is that now the war it's not over yet. Why is the third Hokage so anxious to make a decision? Hey? Could it be? Although Tsunade acted impulsively, she was not stupid. After thinking for a moment, she quickly thought of the day when Orochimaru and the third Hokage were alone together. Did Orochimaru have any agreement with the third generation? That day Orochimaru met with the third Hokage under her persuasion. At that time, she felt a little strange. Orochimaru was sold by the village. How could he return to the village unconditionally to help with his character? Now it seems that this is undoubtedly an exchange condition. Thinking of this, Tsunade put her hand on her forehead helplessly. Really, you won't discuss such a big matter with me. The slight friction at the border of the Ninja World War is still there, but the army has retreated, leaving only Kirigakure village. Therefore, Konoha can take a breather at this time. At the same time, in Lulin, a certain high-rise building goes hundreds of meters underground. In the deepest part of this tall building is a basement. In the middle of the basement, there is a seal, where the power of the dragon vein is sealed. Looking at the seal in front of him, Orochimaru sighed helplessly. Queen Lulin has guarded the power of dragon veins for generations. He thought that by mastering this power, he could control time anytime, anywhere. However, after research, it was discovered that this power can only exist here. Not only cannot the time span overlap, but the limit time should only be 20 years. Well, the meaning that time travel cannot overlap is not that the dragon vein can only be used once, but that if you travel to a previous time point and absorb the second dragon vein, you will not be able to travel a second time. Moreover, the time traveler cannot leave Lulin. After leaving Lulin, the absorbed dragon vein power will gradually disappear, and the time traveler will also be forced to leave the current point in time. In other words, it is impossible to use dragon veins to travel to the Warring States period or even earlier, because the limit time for travel is only 20 years. It is almost impossible to take advantage of traveling through time to change the historical process of other places, because you cannot leave Lulin at all. Reality is really cruel, haha, is this a wasted trip? Also, it can't be considered running in vain, right? After all, we met Ling Yu, didn't we? Kushina, who was standing behind Orochimaru, said timidly. Orochimaru felt that there was no gain, but she felt that there was. At least she knew that she would have a daughter in the future. Ling Yu? Orochimaru raised his lips. Do you really believe that she is our daughter? Well? Disaster, is not it? Kushina was stunned. Uzumaki Raizuki, no matter its appearance, body, blood, or even the feeling that blood is thicker than water, what can't prove that she is her daughter? She has been convinced from the beginning to the end. Orochimaru shrugged, and after strengthening the dragon vein seal, he turned and walked toward the exit, with Kushina following closely behind. From all aspects, she should indeed be our daughter, but you don't think that I and you, would it be weird? What's so strange? As soon as Kushina said the words, she immediately felt that something was wrong. I mean, I love this daughter, although I don't know what's going on between me and the adults, if you don't mind it, I. Are you willing to sleep with me for this daughter? Haha, women are really strange creatures. Orochimaru smiled playfully. Although I don't have any objections, please wait until I ask Tsunade about your words. Well? Ask Tsunade-sama. It is difficult for every girl to talk about sleeping with someone. After all, women are born with something called reserve. Kushina is naturally no exception. She was just like Uchiha Mikoto at the beginning, she only had gratitude and respect for Orochimaru, and no feelings between men and women. But after meeting this girl named Uzumaki Rage, she fell in love with this girl deeply, and she very much hoped that she could have a daughter like her in the future. If she doesn't go with Orochimaru, then this girl will disappear, and she will naturally not become her daughter. This is what Kushina doesn't want to see. Therefore, after thinking about it during this period, she already made a decision in her mind. She has no other relatives in Konoha. If she can have a daughter, it would indeed be a good choice. But she couldn't accept the others, only Orochimaru. However, she originally thought that she could sacrifice herself for the sake of her future daughter, but she didn't expect that Orochimaru would give her such an answer. Tell Tsunade? Can you tell Tsunade such a thing? Can't? Will Tsunade agree? Probably not, right? Thinking of this, Kushina's mind suddenly thought of Uchiha Mikoto, the behavior of the two when they met before, and the closeness of Mikoto and Tsunade after Orochimaru left the village. Oh my god, no, it can't be right? Orochimaru didn't know that Kushina had thought so much in a short period of time, and he didn't care about the weird look Kushina gave him. Kushina, go say goodbye to them. Let's get out of here. Good. Lulin's dragon vein has no great practical value for Orochimaru, and staying here has no meaning. When Kushina returned to the palace, Kakashi's 5 people from the future had already disappeared. Kushina was not surprised either. Went directly to the queen to say goodbye to her. Queen Sarah of Lulin knew that the two were leaving. Not only did she not try to stay, but she breathed a sigh of relief. On the other side, the war continues. In addition to the necessary guards of the 3 defense lines of Sand Ninja, Iwa Ninja, and Kumo Ninja, Konoha has transferred most of its troops to the Kirigakure defense line. Encounters, cleaning up infiltration teams, tracking and counter-tracking. But this time, the head coach of this line of defense is not the patriarchs of the major families, nor the extremely intelligent Narashikaku, but Tsunade, who has never really been in charge. All family patriarchs seem to be able to see some signs. The 3rd Hokage is about to abdicate, and the 4th Hokage will be one of the 3 ninjas, Tsunade, known as the medical master. The reason why the 3rd Hokage put her in command was simply to build a good relationship with several major families. Tsunade lived up to expectations. Whether it was medical treatment or killing enemies, she could easily help Konoha expand its advantage. In the Kirigakure defense line east of Konoha, in a clearing in the jungle, countless Anvia were guarding the surroundings, and 2 people were sitting on the boulder in the middle of the clearing. The 3rd Hokage in a god robe and Jiraiya with white hair and a jounin vest. Old man, why are you coming to the front line at this time? See me alone? Is there something very important to tell me? Jiraiya put his hands on his knees and asked curiously. The crisis in Konoha has been resolved. The Hokage should stay in the village and strategize, and should not go to the front line. In fact, it's nothing special. The 3rd Hokage took his pipe and puffed. I just want to ask you if you have any objections to my decision this time. Objection? Jiraiya was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized, oh, are you talking about Tsunade? Haha, what's the objection? In all of Konoha, is there a more suitable candidate than Tsunade? Yet? Don't you have any other ideas? Old man, you think too much. Jiraiya waved his hand casually. I have never thought about anything else. I prefer traveling around than staying in Konoha, and I still have my own mission to complete. Is that so? I see. The 3rd Hokage sighed helplessly. Is the Battle of Kana Bridge over? On a dark and windy night, an orphanage, a certain guest room. Orochimaru, who had returned from Lulin, sat on a chair in the room. After listening to Nono's story, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He knew very well what this battle meant. What? This was the most critical battle that changed the pattern of the ninja world. It not only laid the foundation for the victory of the 3 battles, but also caused the 4th battle more than 10 years later because of the existence of Uchiha Obito. Of course, now, there may be some difference. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Tsunade-sama went to the eastern defense line to resist the Kirigakure ninjas. She knew that she would come to me when she came back, so she kept in touch with me. Nonaiu adjusted his glasses. She told me all this information, there should be nothing wrong. Hearing this, Orochimaru couldn't help but raised his lips. This woman really doesn't shy away from suspicion. She actually blatantly left information to me, a traitor. Then does Tsunade know about our relationship? This should not be known. Nanoyu's face turned red. I am sure that the location of the laboratory has not been exposed, so Tsunade-sama at most knows that you are supporting this orphanage. That's good. Orochimaru said, and Nanoyu hooked his hand. Nanoyu was stunned for a moment, and then he took a lot of steps and sat in Orochimaru's arms. Sir, isn't it good for us to be like this? Nothing bad. Orochimaru smiled playfully. If you really feel bad, we can be more upright. How is this okay? If Tsunade-sama knew, it'll be okay. Orochimaru said casually, flipping his wrist. This is for you. This is. When I went to other small countries before, I bought some clothes on the way. Go try them on. Okay. Nanoyu obediently took the clothes Orochimaru gave him and turned around to leave, but Orochimaru lowered his head and began to think deeply. The Battle of Kana Bridge is over, then Obito's fate. Although the adult Kakashi does not have the Sharingan, he does have a scar on his left eye. So Obito's fate may not be much different from what he remembers. But Nagato is now considered his subordinate. Obito was tricked by Uchiha Madara. What method would he use to trick Nagato? Thinking of this, Orochimaru couldn't help but smile. Haha, it seems interesting.